far away tonight, but I can't lose this one. Get a pride of a falling night. Thought that I was fit to fight for us to be. You gave me life for loving me. Tell me, where did we go so wrong?
Raw consciousness does not require a savior, but rather, raw consciousness requires only knowledge of oneself and the power to access it. Remember this, as we unlock an even greater gnosis from beyond the veil.
From the fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation, around the world. I'm Chris Gio. I will be taking you beyond the veil this evening. I'm joined, of course, by my lovely wife and co-pilot, Mrs. Gio.
Good afternoon, evening? It's evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening indeed. It has been an interesting day today. We did a 12-hour show yesterday. It was a phenomenal show. And I don't know if I made a deal with the devil or not. I'm not quite sure. But that show got pulled. And I sent in an appeal. And I said, look, we tried to cover that in the most newsworthy way possible. We're trying to be balanced. We weren't harassing. We weren't bullying anybody. We weren't doing anything like that. We are trying to abide by YouTube's terms and conditions, etc., etc. Any identifying information that's in that video was available publicly. There was no individual targeted. I said, realistically, I'm sick and tired of talking about politics. I want to go back to talking about spirituality. 5 minutes later, the video is back online. Is that a deal with the devil? I'm not quite sure.
I don't know. It might be.
But bitshoot.com/beyondtheveil is where you can find us for other types of videos. And also, we'll set up a couple of other channels as well. So I'm not really sure what that meant, but they put the video back online. It's there for you. It's 12 hours long. We covered everything in real time.
Right.
And realistically, I really think that was a good direction to take Beyond the Veil. I remember in one of my early ayahuasca experiences, I encountered Enki. And I remember it was almost as if it was like a recording because there wasn't really any interaction between me and Enki. It was more like a message or maybe a memory from my ancient soul. And Enki said, don't get involved in the war of the gods. And I thought to myself, is this a test? Is this just a test to see who I really am? If I'm going to follow the orders of some DMT entity, or if I'm going to follow my heart and really, go down my path. And then I encountered Isis, the goddess Isis, in my experiences. And then she was like, welcome. I knew you'd come. Let's go, warrior. So I really started thinking about this. And I'm thinking to myself, who are we? Who am I? Where did I come from? Etc., etc. Meddling in the affairs of men, I think, was the true warning. And that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. We're going to try to stay clear of the political topics. Of course, we do need to address the elephant in the living room. And there's 3 videos that I want to play for you. And I want to not really comment too much about those. I also want to talk about we as the Atlanteans. I want to talk about the NPCs. I want to talk about the Matrix. I want to talk about the mission, the raw mission, the reason that we came into this Matrix to begin with. So I got a lot to go over in this particular show. But first, I wanted to open it up with these 3 videos here. And you take what you'd like from these videos.
Before you get into that, can I say something?
Please do.
I was just going to say that I think, politics and religion are the 2 things that actually would qualify as the wars of the gods because, and the reason why I say that is because, of course, gods were worshipped by all these other cultures besides the Egyptians. And so that's the wars of the gods has to do directly with things that turned into religion for the majority of the population back then. In Egypt, they had it right in the sense that they didn't worship these beings with dog heads and stuff like that. It wasn't about that. It was about parts of your consciousness, about the parts of the human consciousness that are able to be tapped into, and they were venerating those qualities and not the actual beings themselves. Anyways, the Wars of the Gods was religion, and then what was politics back in the day in ancient times? It is religion. I mean, politics and religion was the politics. It was all about, who the priests supported was who was the head of the country. And it's kind of the same today as it was even back then, where, you have a lot of politicians, even if they're like, super democratic, up until very recently, it was always asked, are they Catholic? Are they Protestant? Are they, what are their religious beliefs? Most of the anti-abortion stuff has to do with religion, and instead of it having to do with, any kind of political thing. So, yeah, the Wars of the Gods is politics and it is religion. So, yeah. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I was actually looking for something while you were talking.
Oh, okay.
I remember writing this song that I never finished, and I might go back and finish it. If I can't find the lyrics to it. I started to rewrite the lyrics because it wasn't fitting with the beat. I think I need to find another beat. This is a problem. Like, I write music and I'll just like write lyrics down, right? And it's better to write to a beat because then you're writing and it's fitting to the beat. And I write these lyrics and I'm like, man, these are really good, but I've rewritten them so many times and I never really could get them down. But it says, sometimes I wonder if some things should be hidden. Should I lie by omission so you won't hate me for wisdom? I broke the bars of the prison of politics and religion. They keep us locked in submission, so on and so forth. Should I show you the flowers and the sweet tasting fruits, or should I tell you the truth about the poisonous roots? Should I build a glass house so you can throw stones? Or should I light up the path so you can find your way home? They got us trapped in this dome and it keeps getting smaller. The roof's coming down, but we believe we got taller. Now look on that dollar. See who they trust. We're all brothers and sisters, manifested stardust, but at the crux of it all, here's a clue to consider. Oh man, I totally forgot. The crux of it all, here's a clue to consider.
If the building's corrupt, what does it say for the builder?
Now look in the mirror, see who you are. That's why we're running in circles when we're chasing the stars.
That's a really good song.
Yeah, I need to put that together. It's actually a whole song. Like, I got 3 verses. Hook, everything solid. I just haven't found the right beat for it.
Nice.
So before we get into this, let's address the elephant in the living room, and then we might comment a little bit about it. And I think when you see these 3 videos, I think you might see where I'm coming from without too much commentary necessary. Let's just put it like this. I haven't given up what's in my heart. I will never give up what's in my heart. So let's play these 3 videos really quick. First one, of course, is this one. I'm sure you guys and gals have seen it, but it's worth going over.
I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack on the United States Capitol. Like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem. I immediately deployed the National Guard and federal law enforcement to secure the building and expel the intruders. America is and must always be a nation of law and order. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy. To those who engaged in the acts of violence and destruction, you do not represent our country. And to those who broke the law, you will pay. We have just been through an intense election and emotions are high, but now tempers must be cooled and calm restored. We must get on with the business of America. My campaign vigorously pursued every legal avenue to contest the election results. My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote. In so doing, I was fighting to defend American democracy. I continue to strongly believe that we must reform our election laws to verify the identity and eligibility of all voters, and to ensure faith and confidence in all future elections. Now Congress has certified the results. A new administration will be inaugurated on January 20th. My focus now turns to ensuring a smooth, orderly, and seamless transition of power. This moment calls for healing and reconciliation. 2020 has been a challenging time for our people. A menacing pandemic has upended the lives of our citizens, isolated millions in their homes, damaged our economy, and claimed countless lives. Defeating this pandemic and rebuilding the greatest economy on earth will require all of us working together. It will require a renewed emphasis on the civic values of patriotism, faith, charity, community, and family. We must revitalize the sacred bonds of love and loyalty that bind us together as one national family. To the citizens of our country, serving as your president has been the honor of my lifetime. And to all of my wonderful supporters, I know you are disappointed, but I also want you to know that our incredible journey is only just beginning. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
Amen. And a woman. All right, next video coming up. All right. I thought I had this fast forwarded to where it's supposed to be, but apparently not. So let's go here. All right, here's the next video.
I am here to deliver this message on behalf of the entire White House. Let me be clear. The violence we saw yesterday at our nation's capital was appalling, reprehensible, and antithetical to the American way. We condemn it, the president and this administration, in the strongest possible terms. It is unacceptable, and those that broke the law should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I stood here at this podium the day after a historic church burned amid violent riots, and I said this: the First Amendment guarantees the right of the people to peaceably assemble. What we saw last night in Washington and across the country was not that, end quote. Make no mistake, what we saw yesterday afternoon in the halls of our Capitol likewise was not that. We grieve for the loss of life and those injured, and we hold them in our prayers and close to our hearts at this time. We thank our valiant law enforcement officers who are true American heroes. What we saw yesterday was a group of violent rioters undermining the legitimate First Amendment rights of the many thousands who came to peacefully have their voices heard in our nation's capital. Those who violently besieged our capital are the opposite of everything this administration stands for. The core value of our administration is the idea that all citizens have the right to live in safety, peace, and freedom. Those who are working in this building are working to ensure an orderly transition of power. Now it is time for America to unite, to come together, to reject the violence that we have seen. We are one American people under God. Thank you very much.
Amen. And a woman. All right, final video.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time, even if they would never say those things. So, for instance, they could have me say things like, Killmonger was right, or Ben Carson is in the sunken place, or, how about this, simply, President Trump is a total and complete dipshit. Now, you see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele. This is a dangerous time. Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet. That's a time when we need to rely on trusted news sources. It may sound basic, but how we move forward and the age of information is going to be the difference between whether we survive or whether we become some kind of fucked up dystopia. Thank you. And stay woke, bitches.
My fellow travelers, always remember to walk uprightly and circumscribe your desires as we travel upon the level of time to that undiscovered state of consciousness, traveling to the place where once obtained, no traveler returns. The place of raw consciousness which awaits us when we have passed beyond the veil.
All right, you make of that what you will, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to move the show forward and avoid certain topics just because no need to interfere with the
wars of the gods.
No, not the wars of the gods.
Well, no, I'm talking about
the affairs of the mortals.
The affairs. Well, yeah,
the
it's
affairs of the mortals.
Right.
That's really what it comes down to. Let me just put it like this. There's a lot that is unseen. There's a lot that is not understood at this time right now. We can't make any judgment calls on anything we see right now. What we're seeing right now is a play. It's a stage. Who is staging and why is the question that you need to ponder for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Who is the one doing the staging and why? We don't know. We won't know. January 20th is going to be a big date. No doubt about that. But realistically, I think everything is going to be okay regardless. And the reason for that is because we've come into this matrix for a reason. We've come into this matrix on a mission. We didn't come into this matrix to make it a utopia. We didn't come into this matrix to make it a paradise. We came into this matrix to fix one serious problem, and that is the virus within the system. The virus within the system that is keeping organic consciousness trapped within this matrix, and the virus in the system that is keeping the energy from flowing the way it's supposed to be. However, I learned a very valuable lesson from a friend of mine today. I'm not going to mention her name. She may be listening. And we had a very interesting experience where I found myself on the opposite perspective of where she was. And then by being on the opposite perspective of where she was, it suddenly sparked something inside of me to see from her perspective. That effing dog. That effing dog. That effing dog. Had a friend come over recently. And they had a guest come to the house, and they had this dog. It was 9 months old. And it was supposed to be a service dog. And the service dog was not treated very well. It had skinny ribs. I mean, you could see its ribs showing. Sticking out. It was
which
so
isn't
skinny.
normal for a puppy.
The owner of the dog had an anxiety problem, and that's why he wanted the dog. But he got the dog 5 days prior to that. Decided that it was a good idea to take the dog on a big long road trip as soon as he got the dog. The dog was acting up. The dog was tearing everything up. The dog wouldn't listen to commands. I felt really, really bad because having this dog in my presence and it being a service dog, my natural instinct is to give it love, is to give it affection, is to give it food, so on and so forth. I remember helping this person out of the car, and I was helping them with their bags. And I said, you want me to go ahead and grab the dog food? And the person looks at me and says, no, the dog only eats once a day. I'll feed him tomorrow. And I'm looking at the dog thinking, this is horrible. What a horrible way to treat this dog. The dog is 9 months old, but the dog has a purpose. And so we didn't want to interfere with the purpose. It came to a head when he became very rude to Cherie. And he had told us clearly, when the vest is on, that means he's in service. So don't pet him, don't play with him, anything like that. He needs to learn when the vest is on, he's in service. When the vest is off, it's okay to play with him.
Yeah.
As soon as the vest came off, Cherie started playing with him, and he became very rude with Cherie. Luckily, I wasn't around at the time, and Cherie waited till the next day to tell me about it, because otherwise, I would have punched this guy in his face for talking to my wife like that. I had no idea. She politely asked him to leave, and he did leave, and she didn't tell me anything about it until the next day. And this person, not my friend. This was the friend of my friend. I didn't know this person with the service dog. This person asked if they can drop the dog off for a little bit, and I thought, should I call animal control and do something about this dog, because it's not being treated well. We went out to a restaurant and ate, and the poor dog was sitting there, hungry, watching everybody eat.
I mean, he's a puppy.
No affection, nothing
Yeah.
at all, period. Nothing at all, period. And it infuriated me. And he was watching the cats get loved on, and he was scared. And the cats saw that he was scared. And the cats went up to him and put their paw on him like, it's okay, it's okay. Our cats are the sweetest, most caring cats,
so
because
empathetic.
they've been shown so much love. They have freedom. They have, we've never yelled at them. We've never hit them once ever. We've never yelled at them. We've never done anything like that at all.
Harsh with them or anything.
If they do something that we don't like, what we do is we take them and we'll stop them from doing whatever they're doing. So if they're scratching on the back of the couch, I'll pick her up,
Gently
take
pick
her
her
to
up,
her
take her to her scratching post.
and then like
Put her
retract her
feet
claws a
on-
little bit and put the claws on the scratching
Yeah.
post. And they understand this is where I'm supposed to scratch. Every once in a while, Bastet will try to sneak a scratch in on the couch. And it's come to the point where as soon as I hear it, even if I'm sitting on the couch, I go, Bastet, you have a scratching post. And she'll walk over there and do a couple of honorary scratches.
Just to placate you.
Yes, exactly.
I call them placation
Exactly.
scratches. Yeah.
But I almost called animal control, and I thought if I can get the dog in my possession, then I might be able to find the dog's safety. And my friend called me and said, this dog is driving me crazy. It's tearing this up. It's tearing that up. And I said, look, this is a sentient being.
Yeah.
I said, it's a 9-month-old pup. I know it's supposed to be a service dog and everything like that, but
It's
it's a
a baby.
9-month-old pup. It doesn't know that it's supposed to be a service dog. It needs love, it needs affection, it needs food, it needs all of this. It has emotions just like we do. It has anxiety, it can get depressed. If it's unhappy, it's going to act out. If it's constantly on a leash and it can't get away, well, it's a prisoner. What do
Right.
prisoners do? They start going crazy. They start doing this, they
They
start
try
doing
to
that,
escape
etc., etc.,
first, and
etc.
then if they can't.
Our
yeah.
cats are not, I've never even seen them tear up a roll of toilet paper. Nothing
Right.
at all. Like, they're totally sweet. Interesting story though, on a side note, we had a mouse in the house, and we've had it there for like 3 weeks. It's maybe even a month.
Oh, no, it was longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was about a month.
and they
yeah.
brought it in the house, and I saw them carrying it in, and I was like, oh crap. And I went to go grab it, and I went to go put it in a box, and before I had a chance to close the lid, it jumped out of the box and it was gone. And so it was running the house for about a month. And we're like going, do we have a mouse in the house? Because they've been hunting something for a month.
Yeah,
And then we finally found mouse poop. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay,
We
that's
definitely
confirmed
do.
now. We definitely
Yeah.
do, because I finally found mouse poop. So we set up a humane trap for it. Just yesterday, Cherie found it in the bedroom. And
Well, it came running in the bedroom.
it came running
Yeah,
in the bedroom.
door was open, and I saw it dart in, and then the cat was chasing it into the bedroom. And so I closed the bedroom door real quick because I thought, okay, they're going to catch this mouse once and for all. We don't have to. Guess it's not going for that humane trap. It's too smart for that, apparently.
Yeah.
So we've got to get it now. This is the battle to end all battles with this mouse. And for the next 2.5-3 hours, they would chase it under the bed. And then it would dart out. I'd see it dart out and get under one of the dressers. Then it went to the other dresser. Then it went back to the other dresser. I mean, it was just 2.5-3 hours of this. Finally, Chris gets up, and I've been trying to catch it in a box. It even went up the cord,
the cable for the TV.
Cable for the TV. It went all the way up the cable, climbed all the way up there,
dresser.
got on top of the dresser, got all over freshly folded laundry, which I now have to clean again, and it burrowed itself into your shirts.
We'll get back to the dog here
Yeah.
in just a second. We're kind of diverting here for a second.
It darted underneath your shirts, And while it was underneath your shirts, I tried to get it into the box, escaped again. So finally, Chris wakes up because there's all this commotion. And he's like, what is going on in here? I'm like, can you help me catch this mouse? Shut the door and help me catch this mouse. And he's like, okay. So he takes the dresser, puts it on its side. And at that point, it had gotten up into a part of the dresser and was just kind of hanging there. And I got it to fall in the box. Finally, we got rid of it. And
okay, so we got it in the
country.
box. I took it out to the foothills and I let it go. And it looked at me and then it ran off, almost to say like, thank you for releasing me out here.
They do.
There was a connection for sure. And I felt bad because I wish I would have taken some food with me and left a little bit of food. It was an afterthought. I was like, man, the way that mouse looked at me, I wish I could have left him a little bit of food or something like that. But anyways, that's how our cats are. They're very, very, very good kitties. So the way you treat cats, the way you treat animals, they're programmable consciousness. And because they're a reflection of their owners, in my opinion. So when this dog, and this was the third dog this guy had gone through, when this dog, when I saw what was going on with this dog, I called animal control. And I said, I have a chance to get this dog in my possession. The guy paid $17,000 for the dog, though. This was the problem with it.
Yeah.
And he needed to get it back to the owner. He at least had enough care for the dog to where he wasn't going to ship the dog back in cargo. And because he was thinking, at least in that dynamic, like, hey, that dog's not going to survive in cargo. So at least he was thinking like that. But I called animal control, and animal control said, if you have possession of the dog, you're responsible for the dog. And I said, well, if I get a hold of it and it needs help, and she says, well, they'll probably ticket you because you're the one that's technically has custody of the dog at the time.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's actually really unfair, but I understand. Okay. Yeah, $17,000. People are saying, holy shit. Yeah. The thing is, these kind of dogs, these kind of dogs take 19 months to train.
About 18
months
19
to train.
months, yeah.
The thing was only 9 months old.
Right. So
And
it didn't add up to me.
It didn't, it didn't add up. But I was upset with my friend for bringing that person over. But my friend was like, no, he's really, really good with the dog. We'd stop every so often, let him out, he'd play with him constantly, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I said, yeah, but it's just a pup. He's just a pup. He's just a pup. He doesn't understand yet. And he hasn't grown up enough to understand what he needs to do. He doesn't understand not to chew the bottles. He doesn't understand not to do this, not to do that. He's not old enough. He doesn't understand.
Right. He's just a baby still.
And then it hit me with the NPCs. We've come down a few times before to try to fix their world, to try to fix the Matrix. And we've always come down to try to assess whether they're ready to ascend into a higher level of consciousness. And this time, we thought that they might be ready to ascend to a higher level of consciousness. We thought that they would be able to handle freedom and liberty and unity and prosperity and harmony and live in harmony. And last night after the show, this morning, I did a Facebook live stream, and tears started coming to my eyes at the end because it was an ancient soul kind of thing. I remember coming into this machine. I remember having the conversation with the council. I remember that they had decided there's nothing we can do. We can't fix it. We can't fix it. And me and several others, probably some of you out there, we said, no, we can fix it and we will fix it. And we're going to go in there and we're going to fix the machine. We can fix the virus. We can fix what's wrong. We can make it better in there. And we defied the council and came in. And Cherie can attest to this. After we got off that 12-hour show, I looked at her and I was in tears, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "What did I say?"
It was
okay. I said, I betrayed the council.
Oh yeah.
They were right. They were right. It's not up to us. It's not up to us to fix their world. It's not up to us to fix the Matrix. It's not up to us to do any of that. It's up to us just to come in here and help organic consciousness get out. The journey for me began about 12,000 years ago, and I think many of you have experiences that are similar, going back for a long time, which in the real world, it's really only a few days, maybe a few hours, a few days, I don't know, whatever math is. It's about 1 minute per year. So it's been about 12,000 minutes out there, give or take. But down here, it's lifetimes, literally lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And I brought up in the end of the last stream, and as well as in this Facebook live stream, when we tried this once before, and we installed a woman named Hatshepsut. And Hatshepsut, as I've said before, so I'm going to keep it brief, she was a pharaohess. And she was a regent to the pharaoh, because the pharaoh was only like 5 years old. And so until the pharaoh became of age, she was basically his decision maker. So Hatshepsut created peace throughout Egypt. She made fair trade agreements with all nations. The people were prosperous. They loved her. The priest class loved her. They'd let her into the inner sanctum, so on and so forth. Forgive me for being redundant. Some people might not know about the story. But what happened is Egypt was in balance, and everybody was happy. Everybody was peaceful. Everybody was prosperous. But then what happened is as her nephew got older and older and older, he sought to overthrow her, and formed a violent gang of anti-fascist university students, for lack of a better term, and wound up overthrowing her. Not only did they overthrow her, but they tried to erase her from history.
Yeah, cancel cultured
her. Yeah, make her as though she never existed. They buried her temple, which was only found in the 1950s. Her body was found not buried in the Valley of the Kings. They think they found her body because they found a tooth that they connected to her great-grandfather, her grandfather, or something like that. And they just assumed that's her, but her body was never found. And she was marked out of all of the history books. She was marked out of everything. And here we are again in this cycle here in 2020. Hindsight is 2020. 2020 vision as well. And Trump was an interesting experiment for the NPCs. Now, we still have a few more weeks to see where the next couple of weeks are going to take us. But realistically, we had an experiment to see if the NPCs were ready to live in peace and prosperity, if they were ready to ascend, if they were ready to live in harmony and balance with themselves, with each other, with the Matrix, Mother Earth. Let's just call it Mother Earth. Let's use some NPC terms here for a second. With Gaia, with Mother Earth, with, all of that they call it. We wanted to see if they were ready to live in harmony and balance. Because if they're off balance, the entire Matrix is off balance. And then the more off balance they become, the deeper the virus embeds itself within the Matrix. And it messes up the energy all around, because as this virus is here in the system, we feel the energetic changes within the Matrix. Whether the virus is in our face or not, we still feel the negative flow of everything. And there's some people that claim there is no virus within the Matrix. I've heard a lot of people say that over the course of the last several years. And the thing is, they've been so heavily infected with the virus that they've become one with the virus, so they no longer see the virus. We, as organic consciousness from coming outside of the Matrix, we see the virus because we understand the virus is not part of us. The virus is part of the machine itself. But here we have once again, somebody who came in and did an interesting experiment of peace, prosperity, harmony, balance, making peace deals around the world, great economy, so on and so forth. And what happened is that the Archons, or Illuminati, or whatever you want to call them, they understand how NPC consciousness works. And they understand that NPCs have to have an adversary when they're off balance. And so over the course of the last, my entire lifetime, it's been war with Bosnia, war with Afghanistan, war with Iran, war with North Korea, war with Syria, war with Libya, and many, many more I can't even name. There have been so many. But there's always been one thing, and this is going throughout history too. The NPCs have always had a common enemy. And at the times when they don't have a common enemy, what happens is just like in Egypt during Hatshepsut's time, they start to turn on themselves and start to turn on each other, and the aggression within them starts to eat them from the inside out. So they not only do they turn on each other, but they also turn on us as well, because we're kind of swept into all of this. Because realistically, this is their world, this is not our world. We're going to be just fine. We want them to be better. So what did we see in 2020? We saw the NPCs completely destroying themselves, completely destroying businesses, property, literally everything, destroying their own freedoms. And it became a virtue to give up your freedom. It became a virtue to not adhere to sovereignty. And it became more and more and more and more and more of a hive mind. Until we came to that night yesterday where we saw the biggest destruction of sovereignty that I've ever seen in this lifetime.
Right.
I have never seen sovereignty lost in such a huge, huge manner. Now, again, we still have a couple of weeks left. I'm not making any definitive calls right now. I don't have any definitive feelings. There's a lot that's unseen, even hidden from us ourselves right now. So we don't know what's going to happen in the next coming weeks. But I do know one thing for sure. I know that we came in here, we did a job, and we succeeded at what we came here to do. We came in here to reset the matrix. We came in here to help organic consciousness get out of the matrix. And so we fulfilled all of our obligations. We did exactly what we were supposed to do. We did what our original objective was before we even came into this machine, and that is to help organic consciousness get out. Mm-hmm. We had no thoughts of the NPCs, not until we came in here and we lived amongst them. And as we lived amongst them, more and more and more of these feelings of care, of love, of empathy, of compassion that we naturally carry as organic consciousness started to come out for these NPCs. Because there's some that are really, really, really nice. There's some that are really, really, really good. My mother, I'm 99% sure she was an NPC. She was ISIS personified. I'm sure you know those NPCs in your life that are just the most sweetest, amazing people, but they don't have the ability to ascend because they just don't have that ability within them. They're still stuck in their programming, but at the end of the day, they're the sweetest and nicest and most caring people. And they're sovereign beings, And as I started to go through this cycle of emotion within myself, I started to come to a point where I was at the beginning of this. Back in 2016, 2017, when I first came to the realization of what exactly is going on here, which is it's all about organic consciousness. It's not about the NPCs. Screw the NPCs. Screw the NPCs. But a lot of you guys and gals out there were showing love and compassion for the NPCs, which also pulled me to have love and compassion for the NPCs, which also started to help me see them as sentient beings and want to help them and want to change their world and want to put them on the most optimal positive timeline we can possibly do. We really wanted to do that. That was our that became almost it didn't become the mission, because the mission has always been to reset the matrix. The mission has always been to help organic consciousness, but it became a secondary mission. It became like, we can do this also. We can take on this much more weight. And we tried. And the next couple of weeks will decide where the NPCs are.
What they've chosen.
Yeah. But I realized through the experience with a puppy and how upset I was at my friend for bringing that person over with the puppy and how that puppy was being treated.
Right.
And understanding that puppy is only 9 months old. That puppy's just a baby. It doesn't know to be a service dog. It doesn't know this. It doesn't know that. It needs love. It needs compassion. It needs all this. I came back to the other perspective and I realized, wait a minute. Am I expecting too much of these NPCs? I was crying on the stream earlier today on Facebook at the very end, and I cut it right before the tears, well, right after the tears started coming out. And I said, these are vile, horrible creatures. They had sovereignty, they had prosperity, they had peace, and they rejected it. They rejected it, and I took it almost personally, because that's the whole reason why we came into this matrix and subjected ourselves to this hell that has been all of these lives coming in here to try to reset this goddamn thing.
Yep.
And the pain and the suffering and everything that we've endured to try to help them, and then they turn around and they reject everything that we're trying to do. They rejected all of our teachings. They rejected everything that is right. They destroyed everything that is beautiful.
Right. It was pearls before swine.
But is it their fault? Or are they just 9-month-old puppies that just simply need to learn more? That was a really revealing encounter that I had with my friend, and I have to admit to my friend, who's probably listening, that I was a little bit upset with her, and I didn't really want to hang out with her because of that, because that experience was so horrible. Like I can't sit there and watch a helpless animal, go through any kind of suffering. I just can't. I have to step in and do something about it, and I couldn't do anything about it. It's the most frustrating experience to be in. But in hindsight, I realized there was a really, really deeper purpose, a much deeper purpose for that experience. And my friend that I've known for years and years and years and years and years taught me a lesson that I didn't even think I needed to learn by going through that. The poor dog, he's back with the person that trains them, and I don't think they train him very well.
Well, obviously not.
I can't be responsible for the dog.
Yeah.
But I learned the lesson from that experience.
Yeah.
Is that, can they be helped? Can they grow? And that's the one thing that we never really considered. Because are they 9-month-old puppies? Or are they 5-year-old dogs that are out of control, that are running around and biting the neighbor? I'm not sure. You guys and gals, tell me what you think.
I think
Nick Bravo sent a donation real quick.
Thank you,
do
Nick.
NPCs have the potential for divine spark or higher consciousness? If so, how can it be awakened? How much time for each one to awaken? Great question. We'll get to that here in just a second. Go ahead, Sheree, please.
Two things. Number one, Undaunted said earlier, NPCs did that because they've been lied to and manipulated by elites. That is true to a certain extent. But they had the ability to find out everything that we have, everything that you guys have. They have all the ability in the world to look a little bit further than just one or two major Chinese-owned news outlets. They had the complete choice to look a little bit deeper into things and find the truth. And they chose not to. They chose instead to spend their time doing, things that NPCs do. Reproducing, going to work, and playing and watching movies that are stupid and TV shows that are stupid and listening to mumble rap and stuff like that. They did not choose
well, and that's perfectly
the right
fine.
things. That's perfectly fine.
It's when they start to tear up the playground.
Right. If they're
shit all over the rug.
Yep.
And come into your
start
house
chewing up all
and
your
start chewing
bottles.
up on your couch.
Yeah.
And then biting your kids.
Right.
Then it becomes a problem.
Then exactly. And that is the issue here, is that they had all the ability in the world to not be deceived and lied to and manipulated, and they chose to revel in being deceived, lied to, and manipulated, and also treating other people really badly simply because of stuff that they refused to even look at to try to understand. And that's why I'm saying I think they're 5-year-old dogs. I don't think they're puppies. And I think they were puppies 2,000 years ago. They were puppies 4,000 years ago. They were puppies 6,000 years ago. But in this day and age, when they have all the ability in the world to look deeper and they didn't, that means this was a 5-year-old dog out of control thing.
I have to agree with you because I have talked to a few of them, and It's willful ignorance.
Willful
Literally
ignorance,
willful ignorance.
is different than just being ignorant.
I tell them, look here, look here, look here.
No.
And they refuse.
No.
I ask them, name one presidential directive that you disagree with. Name one law that you disagree with over the last 4 years. Please, just show me one.
I don't need to.
Nothing at all.
Yeah.
Their programming runs very, very deep, and it's very, very virus infected. So much so to where they're willing to fight us.
They're willing to hurt us.
They're willing to hurt us to
keep the lie and everything going.
Themselves enslaved.
Right.
And we cannot take responsibility for that.
Yeah, we can't.
They are sentient beings, and we can't force them to ascend. We can't force them to create a better world. Because again, this isn't our world. This is their world. Back to Nick Bravo's question.
Nick Bravo's question. Oh, can I answer that, or do you mind?
No. Yeah, I was going to read it, but if you have the question, go ahead and.
Oh no, go ahead and read the question. I'm sorry.
No.
I don't have it in front of me. Go ahead and read the question.
I don't have it in front of me.
Oh, okay.
You did.
Oh well, I'm sorry.
All right. Here. Do NPCs have the potential for divine spark or higher consciousness? If so, can it be awakened? How much time for each one to awaken?
Okay, so number one, they do, or at least we thought they did, and that takes us to what this is just a running theory that I have. I think when you're looking at Isis, Osiris, Horus, that whole story, and how Horus was turned into the Jesus story and everything, I'm wondering if, well, and I'm pretty sure this is, accurate, at least in my own perspective, the Horus thing is actually the Horus program. And what happened was we were trying to give NPCs the ability to have a higher consciousness, to be able to have pure consciousness that's self-directed consciousness instead of this hive mind kind of thing. And the virus, once the virus got a hold of it, it mutated it into religion and the need for sacrifice and the idea of blood sacrifice in particular, because suddenly it wasn't okay for you to have your own consciousness, that you grow and you mature and you achieve your own level of divinity. Instead, it became sacrifice or give your heart over to this external being, or you'll be punished for all eternity. And you require a savior. You require a savior to redeem you from your sin. And that's why the Horus program, which was originally intended to be a higher level of consciousness, was turned into something that achieved the exact opposite and gained just more power for the virus. So the Horus program is what you're talking about right there. Now,
well, that was the Horus program before it was corrupted by the Set program.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When Set unleashed the virus, he actually became one with the virus and became the virus and parsed himself into this matrix as the virus itself. Then what happened was that took over the Horus program, and that's why you have the Set and Horus. Set and Horus sold us out because, yes, that Horus thing was originally intended to be higher consciousness for the NPCs. And
if I can add to that, I would say it's more like they can be upgraded.
Yeah,
but
they can be upgraded.
They have to upgrade themselves. We can create the conditions for them to be able to upgrade. And if they resist the upgrade, there's nothing we can do. They have free will. They have sovereignty. Mm-hmm. And even if they want to give up that sovereignty, they're giving it up through deception and they're giving it up through darkness. We are not deception and we are not darkness. We are a true light. And therefore, we can't force them to upgrade. We can't force them to live peacefully. We can't force them to do that because otherwise then we become darkness and we become false light as well. So it's a conundrum that we find ourselves in as who we are. So to your question, they have the ability to have a higher consciousness for sure. Divine spark, I don't think so. I think that's just something
that
unique to
resembles,
the organic consciousness. But higher consciousness and living in harmony, I think they do. And I think they have at some point. I mean, you look at the native cultures, and I think those were the first sets of NPCs. And they were very in touch with Gaia, very in touch with Mother Earth, very in touch with all the other programs running within the Matrix, animals and everything else, realizing the sentience of every other program equally as sentient to themselves, et cetera, because realistically you create artificial intelligence and it becomes sentient. It becomes another being. One is artificial, one is organic, but they're still, they still think and feel and everything like that. They understood that. They lost that as they became more and more virus infected. Then the opposite started to happen, to where they started to gain pleasure from the hurting and the suffering of others, from having control over others. Everything going on with the diaper situation, the face diaper situation right now. There's some people that are really getting off on the idea of forcing people to wear a face diaper, forcing people, they get giddy. Hey, you don't have a face diaper on, you don't have a face diaper on. That's the virus within them. And that's just one surface level of the virus, but it gives them a sense of pleasure. It gives them an ego boost. It gives them all of that. Whereas it should give them the opposite.
Right.
Like, hey, wait a minute. Do I want anybody doing that to me? No. So I'm not going to do it to anybody else.
That's how we feel.
This is where we came from, and this is the way this was supposed to be designed. But the further we got away from those native cultures, the more and more corrupted the system became. So we were at a point now where we did one more test to see. And again, we still have a couple of weeks. It's not like everything is all said and done. Somebody brought up Italy. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I think a lot of people know what's going on in Italy. But I think what it's going to show is there is such a massive evidence of the virus in the system. It's all exposed now. Every layer of the virus, from the corruption in the structure, in the congressional structure, all the way down to the pizza related stuff. It's all come to the surface. It's all in plain sight. And even the person in Italy who was responsible for what happened here, for what happened yesterday, and coming out with a sworn affidavit and the mountains and mountains and mountains of evidence, the NPCs still sit back, put their ears to their
put their hands over their ears.
Their hands over their ears and close their eyes and say, no, I will not accept that.
La.
I will not accept that.
I can't hear you, yeah.
And there's nothing we can do about that. It's up to them.
Yeah.
It's up to them. And they have somebody there. They have somebody there that has the ability to be able to do that.
Yep.
Is he going to do that? Is he going to act in the next couple of weeks? We're going to find out. This is the truest test of humanity right here and right now that we're seeing.
Yeah.
We also went through this exact same test in Egypt. I remember this. I remember that time. And from an ancient soul level, that's why I was in tears earlier when I was talking about it, because I remember living through this again. And I dread going back to the council, and they're going to look at me and say, we told you so. We told you so. And I'm going to have to go, you were right. Or I can go back and say, no, you were wrong. We did it. We did it. We got organic consciousness out of here, and we also shifted everything up into a higher frequency.
Yep.
And that's what it's all about inside of a matrix. Everything is frequency. It's all frequency. It's all frequency because it's all based on zeros and ones. A zero means power off. One means power on. The more ones that are going up, the higher the frequency is. Then you get back to the zeros, and then you create the waveforms. Then you create the frequencies based on zeros and ones. Zeros and ones. It's all binary code. Zeros and ones. Zeros and ones. Everything is frequency. Everything is frequency. Can we raise the frequency in this matrix? It's up to the NPCs. All we can do is just show them the way. All we can do is just shine the light. All we can do is just be the light. But we can't make them accept the light.
Right, exactly.
If we did, we would no longer be the true light.
Right,
we would be
exactly.
a false light.
Because that's mind control,
Yeah.
And mind control's an NPC concept in and of itself, because the virus realized especially at the turn of the 20th century, realized its time was about to expire. Its time of ruling over humanity would eventually expire when the NPCs do get to a place where they can ascend a little bit with their consciousness. They would be getting rid of the virus themselves within themselves, because it can't survive in a mind that is sovereign. It can't survive in a mind that is aware of other people's sovereignty and respectful of other people's sovereignty. It can't survive in a mind that doesn't get off on these power trips. And so it knew at the turn of the 20th century, when most of the countries in the world had these ideas of liberty and freedom and justice for all and, overthrowing monarchies and things like that, they realized, okay, well, I'm going to need to mutate into a selfish kind of form of myself so that I can still live inside of these minds. And so instead of it being about, religion or things like that, kept the virus alive, it started being about advertising and pleasure and selfishness and getting what you want whenever you want it, fast food, and all of these things are keeping the virus alive because it lives in selfishness. It lives in fear, selfishness, and things like that. And so, we have a couple.
Fear of a lack of abundance, no doubt about it.
Right.
I see JCK's in the house. I want to say hello to JCK, and I wanted to say to JC and to all of you out there that I am so fucking proud of each and every one of you.
Me
because we held the line and we're still holding the line, and we're going to hold the line until the very end. Mm-hmm. We are going to hold the line. And we are going to manifest the most optimal timeline. If the NPCs reject it, the NPCs reject it. But I can sit back, and you can sit back, JC can sit back, everybody can sit back and say, we held the line as much as we possibly could with everything that we had inside of us. And the rest was up to them. So at the end of the day, we did exactly what we came here to do.
Right.
And there's some people that are sitting back and they're rejoicing today. Some people from our own sphere who claim to be part of our tribe and all of this. I knew they weren't. I knew they weren't. But they're rejoicing and saying, look, Chris was wrong. Chris was wrong. Chris was wrong. No, I wasn't wrong. I did everything that I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
You all did everything you were supposed to do. You can't ask any more of that. Mm-hmm. That's all you can ask us to do is what we're supposed to do.
Right.
But it takes everybody. It takes at least a good majority of the NPCs as well. And again, we can't force them to do anything. And as I've always held, no matter what happens in this matrix, we're going to be okay because we're going to be exiting the matrix.
Right.
The NPCs, on the other hand,
they're stuck here.
I think it's time for a complete system wipe, which is where I always knew this was going to head. But I don't know when that's going to come. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to come in 2 years. I don't know if it's going to come in 20 years. I don't know if it's going to come in 200 years. I don't know if I'm going to wake up out of this machine and in my final days here in this machine, I'm going to go, you know what? They might have a chance. Let's keep it running for a few more hours and see what happens. We'll go back in there again later and see what we can do.
It's only been 8 days.
It's only been a few days.
8 days since 12,000 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only been a few days out there in the real world.
Yeah.
It's just been a long time here.
Yeah.
It's been tiresome.
Like a long
I'm going to go
time.
out there. I'm going to get a nice massage. No. How do you say?
A massage.
A nice massage. A few
it's an inside joke.
In the chat will get that.
Yeah.
A nice massage.
We have had a couple of donations.
And then rebalance myself and then figure out if I want to come in and try to fix this again. But I know anyway it goes, we're all going to be okay. And I guarantee you this, when we get to the other side, I'm going to urge all of you, if I decide to come back into this machine, please don't follow me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's remember all these experiences when we get out. So we don't make the same mistake. I appreciate you guys for following me in here, the ones that did. I applaud you guys and gals. You are so brave. You are so selfless. You put yourselves to the side. I put myself to the side. I mean, we defied the whole freaking council. We told them, no, we're going to do this. And I may get a good talking to when I get out of here. But you know what? I can stand in front of them and I can say I followed my heart. And I know it was against your will, but I followed my heart. And I think you will respect that more than anything, that I followed my own heart. Okay.
Exactly.
Donations.
Well, I was just going to say, I feel the same way about following you in here, because I did not want to do this. But I knew at the same time that you would need your twin in order to do what you were going in there to do. That you would need your twin. And that was the only reason why I came in here, because I felt like it's not that it's dangerous for you. It's that I care about the organic consciousness here. And I also cared about the NPCs, and I wanted to, number one, make sure that you were able to do what you were supposed to do. And then two, I came in here trying to help the NPCs like right off the bat. I wanted to understand how far they had come and whether they were capable of the level of change that would be necessary to eliminate the virus completely without having to wipe the system. And I guess we'll learn in the next couple of weeks whether they are or not.
Well, it's not necessarily the next couple of weeks. I mean,
months,
things can happen over the next couple of months, next couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know. We don't know where this is going to go. We know, here's one good thing. And that is that we know this oligarchy. We are familiar with how this oligarchy works. We know that they do not have a word at all, period, that is honest within themselves. So therefore, when they say during their campaigns, we're going to do all this, 99 out of 100 times, they don't do it.
Right.
So when they're threatening to do this and that and all these man and woman dates, man and woman dates.
Man and woman dates.
Yeah, and all this stuff. Are they really going to do it? Or are they going to go back to business as normal, which is declaring wars and all of that?
I'd rather have that.
I can say this. During the previous administrations, our individual spheres weren't really that affected. Our individual spheres were okay. I feel bad for the NPCs that were bombed in all those wars. I'm glad that stopped after 36 years.
Yeah.
It was a really nice time of peace, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. But in our own individual spheres, we've always been okay. I mean, we may have gone through some stuff in our personal lives, but realistically, the game has been outside of us for our entire lives. I mean, I think a lot of people can reflect back on their lives and realize that. So regardless of where we're going to move down, I think everything's going to be okay for us. If they don't want it okay for them, that's all on them now. Yep. It's like the analogy like I made the other day. If somebody's drowning in the ocean and you jump in and try to save them and then they start like choking you and you can't even swim,
right.
You have to make a choice. Am I going to still try to bring this person out of the ocean, or this person can't even, control themselves enough to not choke the hell out of me so I can swim us both out of here? I got to throw this other person off just to save myself. I mean, we're playing a tug of war here. We're playing a tug of war, and we did everything we were supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Amen, and a woman.
Amen, and a woman.
Yes.
That is so silly. That was an actual pastor. That's so funny. Those donations are gone now. I can't find those donations. It was a few donations that we got, and I can't remember the names.
I see him here. Tom S. said, can an NPC woman give birth to an organic consciousness baby? I would say so, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think my mother was an NPC. I wonder too, how does organic consciousness work? Do we come in as organic consciousness, or do we as organic consciousness find a vessel at some point and inhabit that vessel, be it at birth or maybe even a walk-in type of phenomenon? Because I remember, see, here's one interesting thing. Do you want to jump in real quick, or should I go on this little?
Well, I was just, I'll give my opinion after you give yours.
Okay,
Go
so,
ahead.
you know, the one thing that I don't understand, and I think it's maybe because of the nature of my consciousness, is that as I grow through this matrix and this incarnation, I become more and more disconnected from who I was before. So my experiences as a child are really so foreign to me that it's like it happened to somebody else. My experiences as a teenager are so foreign to me. It's almost as if it happened to somebody else. It's happened to somebody else. 5 years ago, I was a completely different person. It's like the more in touch that I become with my ancient soul, the more disconnected I become from my ego identity here as Chris Gio. And the more time that I move through this, the more the two merge together, the more that I find balance between the two. But at the same time, I never understood how these people can go through their entire lives and go, oh, well, when I was a kid, when I was 5 years old, this happened to me. And I'm like, well, how old are you? And they're like, I'm 45. That was 40 freaking years ago. What the hell? Like I don't understand this. But could it be the reason for that is because at some point we literally walked into these bodies. And so, of course, we have our ego, and the ego identity, which is who we are, is implanted within the brain because of the experiences. So we walk into a body, and we have all of that body's memories that are stored within the brain, like neurologically and things like that. We're a different spirit, but we're still integrating within that body. And so therefore the experiences become intertwined at the very beginning, and we have a hard time separating the two. And then we start to realize more and more and more, and maybe the journey to raw consciousness is actually a separation of the two, and making a clear distinction between the two, and understanding when the two are, I mean, it's like they merge and diverge at the same time, and it becomes like even more balanced. So I wonder if that could be the case there. And I've wondered that for myself too. Thank you very much for the donation. John the Revelator. Very nice. Thank you for all the hilarious commentary on all this BS. Your show and energy gives me hope to keep trudging through this BS. Thank you. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. This is a lot of BS. It is a lot of BS, man. It's very rough times that we are in. So the only thing that we can do is, if we can't shift the NPCs' frequency, at the very least we can shift our own, and then maybe they will follow suit. So again, just making sure we shift our frequency up, maybe they will follow, just like a puppy does, or just like our cats do. We show them, hey, don't do this, and then we do it enough times with love and kindness, and then all I have to do is go, Bastet, you have a scratching post. And she go back to her scratching post. Michelle sent another donation. Thank you very much, Michelle. Much love. Thank you. I ended the last stream without saying I love you guys, and I'm sorry for saying that.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, I'm sorry for not saying that.
He was really.
Yeah. I told Sheree, I was like, man, I was just so taken aback by what was going on. I wasn't taken aback. I mean, I was taken aback. I wasn't surprised. It was just surreal. That was the whole thing, surreal. In the stream I did earlier on Facebook, what I said is, aliens can land right here in front of me, and it wouldn't surprise me. Like I'd expect it, but then it would still be surreal. That's
right.
That's the feeling. It's like I expected it, but did it really happen? Like, wow. So yeah, that's the feeling I get. But thank you for the loving donation, Michelle. Tom also asked, how can you tell if someone has organic consciousness? In my opinion, it's not really something that you can tell. I mean, we try to feel each other's energies out. We try.
Yeah, but we've learned.
We've learned from our own experiences that a lot of people think that they're organic consciousness, but in actual fact, they're just running NPC programs. So I think the number one thing is the question of the nature of reality. For me, that seems to be the standard. Can you question the nature of your reality? Can you question whether you're an NPC or not? I mean, I ask myself this all the time. Am I just an antivirus program within the Matrix? Like, is that really, like, could that be the case? And I just believe that I'm an organic consciousness. I've just been programmed with all these different memories from outside. Did the programmer actually embed himself within the matrix itself, or did he write a program which was a copy of his consciousness in order to come in here to perform a certain task? I've asked myself this many times over again.
Right.
But then I come back to the idea that NPCs aren't capable of questioning the reality in the way that we do, because they don't have a reference point for outside of the matrix, and so therefore they are 1000% sure this is real, this is real, this is real. It's always real, it's all real, because it is all real to them. So I think just the very idea of pondering that, I think is a real telling idea. Some people may resist the idea, because we're all programmed in the matrix. All of our experiences are programs, good programs, bad programs. Some programs we can choose to keep, some programs we can choose to throw away. That's where ayahuasca really comes in to help. Our traumas especially are programs that were programmed in a certain way. In DMT, the spirit molecule, they made the example of a dog being bitten by a dog as a child, and taking DMT will actually change the neural pathways within the brain. So you encounter a dog within your DMT experiences, and then it rewires your brain to, instead of experiencing it with fear, you can experience it with compassion and love by literally rewiring the neural pathways in the brain. Because what happens at a point of trauma is the neural pathways in the brain get burned a certain way. So that's the path of least resistance for the energies. So you have a real traumatic experience, you've burned a neural pathway within the brain. So now every time you encounter a similar experience, that's the path the energy passes through, or the data passes through the brain, and DMT actually rewires all of that. And they did this under like MRI testing and stuff like that. So this is like proven scientific fact here. So we all have programs that we have to break through. So there could be organic consciousness that's purely running a program. Or in the case of Set, for example, Set was an organic consciousness who chose to take on all the programs and become one with everything, become one with the virus, become, I want to be the all one, the all powerful, the all this, the all that, etc., etc. And he merged so much so that now he's indistinguishable, and it's like a transhumanism kind of deal on a spiritual level. But as above, so below, we're creating a matrix here with virtual reality. We're also seeing transhumanism and the merging with machines here as well. So yeah, I mean, there's organic consciousness that are like stuck in this matrix and can never get out of this matrix because they want to be in this matrix, because it gives them a sense of power, it gives them a sense of control, it gives them a sense of all of that, and they start to become intoxicated by it. So it's organic consciousness and NPC consciousness alike. Those consciousness, in my opinion, the organics, they're not going to get out of the system. They can't pass the firewalls if they've got the virus in them. So, love, compassion, empathy, everything that makes us is so much more important to really cling on to. But at the same time, balance as well, and knowing when to give the compassion, when to give the empathy, and to whom. Because you can give it, and it could be misused by the person that you're giving it, and then you become a feeding vessel for
feeding trough.
For psychic vampires. And I think at the beginning of the awakening, a lot of people make this mistake. And I think the New Age love and light stuff is that mistake. Love and light, care for everything. I remember talking to somebody, and he said, "Oh, I could never kill anybody." And I said, "Really? Never?" And I said, "What if somebody was attacking you?" And he said, No, I would never want to hurt anybody." And I said, "What if somebody was killing your wife and child in front of you?" He goes, No, I couldn't do that. I'm like, dude, do you realize how unbalanced you are there?
Yeah.
So again, you have to know when to give compassion, when to give empathy, and when to not, and you come to a point of balance there. So, like with that mouse, we could have killed that mouse very easily, but we chose to catch it and take it out to the foothills. There was no reason to kill the mouse.
Right.
Now, if we had 50 mice in the house, which has happened before, 10 years ago, we lived out in the middle of nowhere, and we had a pipe bust under the house, and the landlord he decided he was going to try to do the repairs himself. So he dug a hole from the outside of the house trying to get to the pipe, couldn't get it there. So then he came into our master closet, dug a hole into there to try to get to the pipe. And now we had a hole going from the outside all the way into our master closet. So,
Perfect for them.
and it became winter.
Yep.
And so I saw one mouse and I thought, no big deal. We got a little mouse in the house. That's fine.
Yeah.
And then I saw another one and another one. And I remember sitting on my desk and one popped up right in front of me. And I'm like, all right, we got to move. Because I was
Yeah.
telling the landlord, this is not cool. You can't have 2 holes in our house.
Yeah.
And we wound up I don't even know how they got rid of the mice. But I know that in a situation like that, all those mice have to go.
Oh,
And
when we were
tried
moving
to catch
out.
them with humane traps. We
Yeah.
tried to catch them with
Oh.
humane traps, but we couldn't. So
There were
again,
too many of
it's
them.
knowing when to show passion and compassion and empathy and when to not.
Right. We even found a nest with babies in it when we were in the middle of moving out and we were getting, filling up boxes and getting stuff out of the closet. I found a whole nest of babies of them. And I was like, oh my God, I had to just like take them outside and put them down on the ground. I couldn't bring myself to kill them. But at
No,
the same
there's no
time,
reason to kill them.
there's no reason to leave them in the house either.
Right.
So JCK wants to come on and talk with us for a little bit. If you can send her a Zoom link.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, that would be
A
great.
couple more donations I want to go over real quick.
Yes.
Regular Girl sent a donation. Thank you,
Aw,
Regular
thank
Girl.
you,
We
Regla.
love ya.
Yeah.
And Laka's Pod.
Laka's Pod.
Laka's Pod. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Huh.
This is one that you probably are familiar with because it's a reference to Westworld. Here it is right here.
Okay. Where is it? I'm sorry.
Where?
Oh, okay. Like, Akacheta in Westworld when he tried to upgrade himself. I don't think that he was upgrading himself as much as he was he was doing what we were hoping to bring about with the Horus program with the NPCs. We were giving them the ability to retain memories from past lives as well as to get more to a state of consciousness where they were more aware of themselves. They were more aware of what this reality is. Not so much so that the whole matrix falls apart, but like you were telling me, it creates a paradox. If everybody is aware that this is a simulation, then the simulation shuts down. I don't think that's the case. I think it's more that if you can get the NPCs to a place where they respect this matrix as their one and only home, they can't go anywhere else. This is it. And get them to respect it and respect each other, then yeah, that's what I think that guy was trying to do. It's not really about upgrading as much as it is about expansion of consciousness and the ability to perceive reality in a different way. So yeah.
Okay. To JCK, it's going to be the same Zoom link I sent you last time. So if you can check your email, if you still have that, feel free to jump on anytime you want.
Absolutely, that would be great.
I think it's the same Zoom link. I'm 99% sure it's the same Zoom link. So
I don't know how long I'm going to be able to keep going.
We're just going to go for
Tonight?
maybe, how long have we been on for?
About an hour
and
and 20 minutes.
I'm thinking maybe 40 minutes.
Okay. I think I can handle that.
Our shows have been way too long lately.
Yeah, they have.
The only reason we did a 12-hour show is because we wanted to cover everything live for everybody.
Right.
We wanted to be there live. All right, and I'm setting up my thing for JC.
My opinion, I guess I can talk about this while you're getting that set up. My opinion on the thing about walk-ins versus inborn organic consciousness. I think it's a matter of what the mission is for your particular person. Some people, like I think this was the case for me at least, they come in pretty much remembering who they are, at least subconsciously, 100%. And they actually guide the ego avatar self, which has its own NPC kind of consciousness, but you also have that higher self of the ancient soul self that's acting on both a subconscious and an overconscious kind of level, where the NPC mind doesn't realize what the ancient soul mind is doing. And let's say, for instance, I had the revelation the other day while I was meditating that I used to talk to trees all the time, and I would love to
This is a great story.
Put my hand on a tree and talk to it and just tell it about my day or about stuff going on in my life at the time. And instead of playing kickball with the other kids, I would go to my little grove of trees and talk with the trees. And I realized a few days ago that what my ancient soul self was doing was it was reading the data of the trees. The trees are all connected to one another by the network of not just roots, but the energy around trees. They have a hive mind just like NPCs do, but theirs is even more advanced to the point where anything that happens to one tree is known by all the other trees. And we also know from ancient knowledge that nothing in this reality is ever destroyed. It is merely transformed. And so everything that has ever been written on a piece of paper is put into that data set that all the trees are all connected to. So what my ancient soul self was doing was reading that data, while the ego self, the little Cherie self, was talking to the trees
Cherie.
and just talking to the trees. So I think we do have people that are on an ancient soul level there from the very get-go. Then you have people like Chris, who there's either one of two things. I think either the ancient soul self walked in, especially during an experience that you've talked about before. I think, that experience.
A death experience. I was pretty much
that
dead.
near-death experience or death experience.
I think I abandoned this body, or the consciousness before me abandoned this body, and I was like, ooh, there's a body I can go use. It's not the best body in the world, but it's still got a cute face at the very least, and it's good with its tongue, so,
And you still have, but see, you still have to use the NPC kind of 3D avatar mind while you're inside of this body, because the ancient soul self wouldn't be able to deal with the amount of bullshit in this reality. Otherwise, I really think the ancient soul self is more about what's the mission? Let's get the mission done. Let's get the mission done. Let's get the mission done. And on a subconscious level, ever since that happened, it has been. And it's always been guiding that 3D avatar self
People
to
are
make
telling
the right
me I'm
decisions.
nasty. I'm talking about my words. People tell me I have a silver tongue. What do you think I'm talking about? Oh my God, I can't believe we would just take things down to such a low frequency. I'm so ashamed of you guys.
I'm ashamed of you too.
Be calm. Love you. Thank you very much for the donation. And
Aw,
I'm
thank
teasing,
you,
of
Be
course.
Calm.
I am very good with my tongue on many different levels.
Yes, he is.
All right. JCK is in the house. JC, how are you doing, my dear?
Oh my God, I'm here.
You're here? Good, good.
We're good.
Shit's been going down. What's your take?
I know, well, I feel like I've been, I've been hibernating for a few days. You know what's been happening with me on a private level. So I'm kind of really out of the loop. And so I wake up to this big shitstorm that's going on. And I think the last video I did was like Tuesday, and everyone's losing their mind going, where are you, JC? Where are you? And call me an eternal optimist. I actually don't. I think this is all, this is still optics, this is still, they're still in charge. They're still in control. However, I guess we've got to sort of talk about your take, Chris and Cherie. You were doing like an 11-hour show, nearly a 12-hour show.
We covered it front to back.
Yeah, we did.
And
you were really,
it's
you were,
12
you,
hours.
yeah, you told me you went really deep down. I think I sent you a link today to watch someone who was there on the ground, and his take is a bit different than maybe some of the things that you've seen and the footage you've seen. But I believe there is more to the story here. But what do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about what's happening in the 3D world, or what's happening outside?
I think in the energy, because that video was removed, and what I did, I sent in an appeal, and I said, look, this politics stuff, it's too narrow for me to walk down. It's like if a caller calls in and says the wrong thing, and then I get a video removed, it's just not cool. And I in that appeal, I put, look, I'm done talking about politics. I'm just going to go back to spirituality. Will you guys, give me a pass this one time? They put the video back up in 5 minutes. I don't know if that's the reason why they put the video back up in 5 minutes, but really, it's a low frequency, and I want to keep it a little bit higher.
Yeah. So look,
avoid the AI. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was talking to Mark this morning when I woke up. It would have been his nighttime, and I said, "You really need to go and speak to Chris and Cherie." And I said, "I think you need to go on this show because of the way he explains it." So he's got more of an understanding. With me, I try to steer away from the political, and I try to just feel the energy. So I don't have the language to speak about all the details. So you'll see me struggling talking about all the details about different,
well, there could be a plan underneath,
or something like that.
Yeah, there could be a plan underneath the surface, and there could be a plan in action right now. As I mentioned in the beginning of the show, there's a lot of things hidden from even us as well.
Yeah.
So
I have to talk about it from an energetic point of view.
I'm keeping my energy still pushing in that direction.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm also kind of just kind of in my own space, just preparing for anything that comes to make sure that my own consciousness and the consciousness of the BTV tribe is still in the higher frequency, regardless of what happens to the entire structure. So,
Absolutely. And I know you were absolutely gutted because you called me straight after the show yesterday, and I had a really horrible few days. I just want to explain to everybody, for all of you who don't know, I've been going through a lot of personal stuff for months now, but it's really hit ahead at the moment, and that's why I've not been in touch as much, and I'm trying to sort of get a routine going so that I can get regular videos up for people. And appearing on your show sort of helps because it's allowing me to have a little bit of a say online without having to upload a video and do all the administration that goes with it, etc., etc. So let me just speak very briefly about my energetic take on it. So I want to set the background that I don't watch mainstream news, and I really try to avoid politics. The frameworks that I have in place to reference anything that I'm about to say in terms of an energetic level would be from the very, very small amounts that have trickled down to me about what's been happening, through your videos, etc. Okay, and through some other glimpse through videos that people have sent me. I have not had the time to watch anything, so anything I say will make sense on an energetic level. So I look at things as an outsider looking into this matrix rather than sitting in the 3D world and looking out, and that's what keeps me sane. On an energetic level, I feel that we're using up, and I tried to explain this to you on the phone, Chris, yesterday. We're using up the last of this negative energy. So I'm going to talk metaphysically now. This virus has to be spent. It has to be used up in order for it to reach the other sort of turning point where it goes into the recovery stage or the reactivation stage.
It has to come to the surface.
Right.
Yes. Has to come to the surface, okay? The veils have been lifted. What we're seeing is a lot of people who are the true NPCs, like you said, they are not going to wake up. Now, Mark and I have been doing these regular shows with this couple that want to remain anonymous, we call them Juicy and Lucy. And the shows are called the Abracadabra Code. These two people are legit. they are one of us. They are the creators of this matrix. Honest to God, the information that they have of how they created this world and how they were part of creating this world and how they changed things and changed timelines and things like that is unbelievable. It's so detailed. And what they were saying to us in the last few days was that, the recreation of this world, this matrix, and the way it's supposed to be has already taken place, and it's returned to the organic reality that it was supposed to be. Okay, so the overlays of all these many layers of this matrix that seem to be real but they're actually false are actually crumbling and being taken down. So they're a little bit ahead in their timeline in the way they describe things, but they're saying a lot of this darkness needs to be used up, and they explain it in really great detail, and we're going to do a show with them.
Well, if I can jump in for a second, Mark invited me on a call with you guys, and then he thought he offended me, and I was like, no. We did an 8-hour show that night, and I had to get some rest, so please let him know. I let him know through chat, but please let him know that I said...
that might have been when I was asleep.
I sent him a message. I was like, offended me? What are you talking about, dude?
Oh, no,
you can't
not
offend
at all.
me. But no. I was honored. I was just exhausted, and I needed to prepare for the New Year's Eve show.
I think because I sent him a message before I went to sleep. Yeah, before I went to sleep, I said, you need to talk to Chris, and I think he needs to come on the show.
Okay.
And then so this weekend we'll try and do something like in the next few days.
I mentioned him yesterday like 3 times on that 12-hour show.
Yeah.
So, he's got a little, he's in my heart. So please let him know. Okay.
No,
like
he knows.
Okay.
I told him. Yeah, I know. He knows. I forgot what I was going to say. So let's talk about this, what's going on right now. If I want to go back to the 3D world, the team that is working in China, that is the heavy player here, it's so convoluted. There's quite a few players, obviously, that are really trying to show they're showing their hand, really. They're showing their hand. The message I keep getting is that, and I want to use this term, but please don't think it's the letter organization, the one-letter organization that everybody follows
17.
That has anonymous people. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
This is the term, the white hats. They are still under control, okay? That is definitely, I keep checking this again and again psychically and through other means of divination, and it keeps coming back that they're under control, that they're in control. What you saw, you need to read the very, very fine details of what happened. That entire thing that occurred was orchestrated, as you know, an FF.
Yes. Now, here's a question. I didn't mean to interrupt, but was it by the white hats because they retrieved supposedly a lot of data? That's what I heard. That very well could have been the case. Just wanted to get your take.
So what they need to show is they need to play the weak part in this war, okay, before they ambush, because I'm feeling an ambush coming. All right.
I feel that on the 20th as well.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Actually, yesterday, I mentioned that I had a premonition of military in the Capitol. And I've been feeling this for the last couple weeks. I posted it on somebody's Facebook page as a reply 24 hours before. So I never talked about it, though. I never voiced it because I was like, is that just wishful thinking or is it a premonition? And sure enough, that's exactly what we saw. So,
right.
So look at this as a long game. What we're witnessing is, do you remember how the Vietnam War was like, that was the first televised war? This is not just televised into your home. This war is in your actual consciousness, and it's really taken charge of that. Okay, and so all of this is like a nail-biting movie. In order to maintain sanity, you have to look at this as an outsider looking into this reality. What I can say from a metaphysical level is, this is not about the explosion of this reality. I don't feel it's like the destruction and the end of it. But what I am getting is that, because I keep seeing the end of this, there is a upturn and there's a recreation of a new system of things. However, it's going to get really ugly before it gets better. And in order to survive that really ugly stage, we really need to pull ourselves out of that and really take a step back and just do not take part in it and do not fall for it. It's so easy to fall for the we've been defeated attitude. Very, very easy when it looks like everything is lost, when, you know, all hope is lost. As far as dates are concerned with what's happening with the Jedi, there is going to be a new, so a shuffling of people in power. The main one I'm getting is still in control. However, there's a complete reshuffling in March. This is just coming through now, okay? Complete reshuffling in March of who is in charge. This feels like it's a complete change in the way the whole country is run. So as far as this goes, it just feels as though there is this huge. I'm going to look at it as energy, okay? So between now and the end of February, there is so much. This is like the worst of the worst we're going to get, okay? If you think it's bad now, it's going to get worse. As far as all of the infighting, I just keep seeing crosses, things crossing paths. So things getting cut down, things getting destroyed, things getting really bad, and then the other side coming in and destroying it. Things getting really bad, and then the other side coming in and destroying it. I'm seeing this through Asia. I'm seeing it through Europe. There's a lot of stuff in that's very convoluted to do with banking accounts or money. And who is funding a lot of this stuff. I keep seeing places like Switzerland and stuff like that. So all of this is going to be exposed, okay? So whoever's funding a lot of these things that are going on, that is really pushing the Sith line of things, they're trying to really destroy and get rid of, as you know, you told me about the 25th Amendment, that's their last ditch effort in these last 2 weeks, is what I'm feeling. They're really trying to get rid of the Jedi through this means. However, the Jedi are still at least 5 steps ahead in this case. Okay, military is going to be involved. I just keep getting military is going to be involved at the last minute. And all of this is really for the last little remnants to wake up the NPCs, okay? Last week of February, so it's the very last week, okay? There is something like a turnaround, all right? There's a turnaround, and then the military take over. It's like that kind of feeling. It's like there's this so it feels as though up until, say, the 21st of February, the bad guys are in control. That's what it looks like. Okay, it's going to be very, very. It's going to be so oppressive.
I'm sorry. Can you say that one more time?
Yeah.
What date was that?
February
21st.
February 21st.
Okay, February. Okay.
Because I feel like the last week is when there's this turnaround. There's something that they come in with at the last minute in that last week, and then as we go into March, there is this. It's like moving house. Where things are sort of all over the place, but they have to put them in a new sort of order, but it's a positive thing. Okay, does that make sense? So I'm wondering if for a few weeks the Sith is in control for a little while. I'm wondering if that's what happens, but I'm feeling this turnaround in February, end of February. Because it feels really horrible for about 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Okay? Does this all make sense? I don't know how this can happen. I just have to talk about it in terms of energy and not specifics. Okay? Does that all make sense to you guys?
Yes, that makes perfect sense. And
okay,
by
so
Flynn, just for the record, we're talking about Fred Flintstone.
Fred Flintstone. Yeah.
Fred Flintstone.
Yeah, Fred Flintstone. But I do
General
see that.
Fred Flintstone. Okay.
Yeah.
This is absurd. I agree, it's absurd,
I
but
know.
it's
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Flintstone. My screen's gone all funny color, so I can't really see you guys. It's gone all green. I don't know.
Oh, let me
why.
see if we can refresh that for you. I don't know if that helped.
That's okay.
Got all
Maybe it's
matrixy.
just the.
Okay.
Yeah. That's okay. I'll just stare at myself. I was looking at you guys. Oh no, it's fixed it now. I fixed it.
Okay.
Fixed it.
Cool.
So so I just want to reiterate to everybody, I really feel like it's going to get worse, even more worse. It feels like the next 7 weeks, there is a massive scramble to beat the rats that have exposed themselves. They are laying low and acting as though they've been defeated. So the Jedi are acting as though they've been defeated. But there is this long game plan. It's coming to a head now, okay? There is some kind of code words and keywords in what are you calling Mr. T by his real name?
The Jedi.
The Jedi.
Yeah, the Jedi. Okay. So in his speech, the Jedi's speech, there was one of his last sentences he said. I did catch that, by the way.
We're at the very
So
beginning of this journey.
very beginning of this journey.
Yes.
Okay. So there's that. Now, the other thing was he wasn't actually where he looked like he was in that image of that speech. I believe that was a green screen thing. Okay. So he's got a lot of that. They really have. Okay. So number 17 group, make it out as though everything's good and everything's fine and the DS are not in control and blah, blah, blah. However, I want to say that the DS really do believe they are in control and they are still fighting them. But in terms of who's got more power and who's trying to act like they're on the level playing field is the white hats. Are we allowed to say white hats? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they're looking like they're weak on purpose because that's a tactic. This is what I'm feeling. However, there is so much power and so much information and so much feet on the ground interceding anything that the DS are doing that they have to play it out in this very tactical manner, and it's for the show. It's this 3D show, like this nail biting, like, they're gonna win and the bad guy's gonna win. It's that, okay? That resolve that I have, that hope is still there. I'm going to talk also about the origins of where you and me, where Chris and Cherie and me came from and our memories and all of that stuff. So I can remember coming into this reality and I was very hesitant, like Cherie. I didn't want to come here. I was like, I don't want to do this because I knew how tough it was going to be. And I can remember my twin coming in and saying, don't worry, I'll meet you on the other side. I'll protect you and I'll be there. You can do this kind of thing. Okay. So I do have that memory just the same as you guys do. And for me, I feel like, I know I sound like the eternal optimist, but I really, really, truly believe that in the end, this reality is not going to be destroyed and, we're not going to have to start all over again, as in, completely bring it to its knees and wipe everybody out and then start all over again. If that is the case, I think our memories will be wiped and we won't remember that. Okay? So I don't know what you think about this, guys. In terms of, I know you said you got that dragon program or something like that.
That's I think it might. I don't know. We're gonna see where we head down.
Yeah.
But
I can see the new world. I can see the new world or the new Earth being created, as in like on the ground, 3D. I can see communities popping up and people creating this brand new way of living. I've seen it so vividly, and it's not outside of this reality. It's here. We're doing it, okay? But this really horrible phase needs to be exposed, and that's going to take still a little bit of time to undo all of that, because we're victims of this horrible the Sith. We're victims of the Sith. It's going to take people a long time to trust again. It's going to take a lot of people to, people are going to be licking their wounds. But yeah, as far as the NPCs go, Juicy and Lucy, the people that we interview from the Abracadabra Code, their take on the NPCs, which they call twangers, because they're like they're like rubber bands. Well, they're like rubber bands. They made it up, so they're like rubber bands, right? You pull a rubber band and pull a rubber band, and you can give it as much information as you want, and you tell them the truth about something, and they'll always bounce back,
snap right back
to their program, right?
Yeah.
And they can't take in any new information. They just don't understand it. You can tell them and tell them and tell them. It's like pulling a rubber band, and they twang right back. So they're twangers, right? So these twangers, they actually said, Juicy said, the guy, he said they're actually dead. They're like the Walking Dead. They are literally very much like an NPC. They're just, they're shells, and they are, what we're seeing is just the residual stuff of the stuff that we've created.
Right.
It is basically where the originals and the very few originals that are here in this matrix, we've created blends of ourselves. So this is what they say. It's like we're blends of each other. Okay, we've created multiple thousands of millions of blends of each other. Okay, and they explain this in a very, very clever way. But the ones who are not waking up is because that's part of this creation that we created, because we needed to experience the negative to create the experiences that we had, and the negative needs to play out in order for us to get to this parallel or this reality where we are now moving forward into a new earth. So they've got this very complex explanation of that, and that's what you're seeing with these people who are not waking up. And I'm going to get like thousands of emails now, people saying, but my mom, she's not waking up. Does that mean she's doomed? Look, I don't know what to tell you, okay? But like, I think you still need to play it out as though you got 1 foot in the 3D and 1 foot outside of the 3D, okay? This is how it's always been. We've got to realize that this is a game. This is a simulation. This is the way I look at it. My daughter's about to walk in. And this is a game, a simulation. And we need to understand that we're bigger than just this reality. And I understand that everybody's very caught up in this story that's going on right now between the Jedi and the Sith. But we need to sort of hold the line, like you said, because there is a bigger game at play here. We're literally watching a movie of a very, very dark war that wants to take charge of the remaining populace who are controllable. Okay, and but what I'm seeing on an energetic level is that there is a very complex game being played here, where it's going to look like the Sith has taken over, and that feels like the next 6 weeks you'll see them really, because it has to do with the mainstream media a lot. You'll see them playing out full hilt, going all for it with lockdowns, with laws all over the world, not just in the US, okay? But I feel like this turnaround, and it feels like the turnaround is got to do with military, okay? That's what I want to say in the short term of what's happening right now. Does that help?
Awesome. Cherie, can you jump in for a minute?
I'm thinking to myself, how much of a role should we have at this point in time with this process? This is the NPCs playing an NPC game. And I think when we become so invested in that game, then it kind of takes away from what we're trying to do overall with all of organic consciousness. I think we tend to take responsibility for them because we created them, but at the same time, at some point we have to let them do what they've chosen to do and sleep in the bed that they have made. They decided to make this bed. Now they got to lay in it.
You've got to be there for the people who are willing to listen to you. You've got to be there and hold the line for them. These little things that you do every day just to keep people sane. Okay, these little things are really, really important because it is so contagious, this doom and gloom, that if you just, I mean, I took a few days off from looking at things, turn on, and the world's ending, you know?
Yeah.
And I started to believe it for a while, and I went, hang on a minute, come on, I know that I created this game. I was one of the people that created this whole thing, along with, you know, quite a few thousands and thousands of other people that did this. We came in here and we created this. Let's not lose our heads just yet. We know what's going to happen. Okay, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
It looks like it, but let's keep our heads straight. And for the NPCs, like I said, there are many who are like the Walking Dead. What do you do? What do you do with the Walking Dead? What do you do with zombies? Do you rehabilitate them? Give them some fish to eat instead of brains? I mean,
Well, I mean, here's the thing.
what do you do?
They're zombies, but they're also children. But at
Yes.
some point,
They're sentient
then
children,
you come to a point where you're like, well, this one's broken.
Yeah, this one's
But if
just
we look at
broken.
the Lost Book of Enki, Enki created many, many, many different hybrids. And rather than getting rid of the ones that were defective, he gave them
i.e.
each different
killing them.
roles.
Yeah.
There was one that couldn't walk, so he gave him to the king. There was another one that couldn't do this, so he found a job. He found a purpose for each
Yeah,
and
he
every
would find
one.
a purpose.
He found compassion for each one.
Right.
In the Lost Book of Enki, when Nibiru was coming through, Ninhursag had carried the first humanoids,
and
Adape
Titi.
and Titi, the ones with the divine spark within her womb. So when Nibiru came through, the council had decided we're just going to let Nibiru come through
Wipe him out.
and wipe him out. And Ninhursag went to Enki and said, "Save life, save life. We created these things. We have to save them." So there is a sense of responsibility that
course.
that is over them. But at the same time, when they become so destructive and incapable of being fixed, then at some point we have to just release the dragon.
Yeah, we just have to wipe it because
Wipe it clean.
here's the
And don't
thing.
forget, you've got to be there but you've got to be there for the people who are on board with you, right?
Right.
So that's my whole point is, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Be there for the people who are on board with you, because the energy that they hold is 10 times, if not 20 times greater than those who are not awake. That's how I see it.
That's
Okay.
true.
Does that make sense? The positivity, it's not just positivity, it's realism, and it's the ability to decipher what is really going on and see behind the veil, beyond the veil. And so that ability and those very those esoteric understandings hold you in good stead. You know, they give you 10 times, if not 20 times, the greater power than those who are fast asleep.
Oh yeah.
So they are
Right.
it's really important for us to hold the line for the people who are awake or who wish to be awake, and a lot have woken up who were fast asleep in the rat race in the last few months. And so that in itself is enough power to create a brand new earth and to overturn this negativity is what I'm saying. Okay, it's going to tip. The rest of it is just a show. The rest of it's just a show. It has to play out the way it does. They know that. The people in charge know that. They've got control of a lot of the information, and they know they've got looking glass technology. They know what's happening next, right? So they're not going to put their foot wrong. They know where all the landmines are, but they need to play out this very, very cruel game, because we will never repeat this again. We cannot repeat this again. There was somebody who was talking about the Great Depression. I mean, that was in the 30s, and we've still got people alive today, you know, talking about this. It's so part of their psyche that they will never, ever be spendthrifts in this lifetime. You know, there's people in their 80s are talking about, I remember when my mother, you know, from the Great Depression, blah, blah, blah,
Right.
you know, and that mistake that was made back then on a global scale lives on generations after, right?
Right.
And this has to be the same thing. I think it was 107 who was talking about this. So he was saying, you know, this needs to be so harsh. This experience needs to be so harsh for all of us who are witnessing it, so that it never gets replayed again, so that we never make this mistake again with all of our NPCs, with all of the future reality, whatever we're going to create. We never want to do this again. We
Oh,
never
yeah.
want to let them win again.
Well, it's not about letting anybody win as much as it is about maintaining the balance. And we let things get so imbalanced with them, and we let them run roughshod over the organic consciousness that was in here so much that it's become an automatic thing to be living under tyranny, or to be living under a dictatorship, or to be living under, some kind of horrible overarching authority. And the NPCs, it's sad because the NPCs do need some kind of authority. They've proven it over and over and over again that they do need. This cat is stepping on the mute button. The NPCs do need some kind of strong leadership. They need strong leadership. They don't need dictators, but they do need strong leadership. And that need has mutated into a need to not only have a tyrannical leadership over yourself, but also to be able to have power over others as well, and getting off on having that power over others. And that's where you get the people at the store that work there that get a little bit of an ego boost when they tell you, okay, well, I can't serve you unless you put on a mask. It's all of that put together has created such an imbalance that I don't think that it may not be capable of being able to be turned around at this point. I think the infection is just so deep.
Here's the thing. They need structure. They need guidance. They need, like you said, they need a leader. They need an example to follow. And that's the way that we essentially train and program these things, is by being the example, being the leaders, being the example of what they should be like. They're not really picking up on our example, though. But it's always been structured, though. It's always been structured throughout this whole matrix. I became less self-centric over the course of my ayahuasca experiences, and I started to see from broader perspectives. A few years ago, I was an anarchist, and not an anarchist in the sense that let's go burn all buildings down. That's not anarchy.
That's not anarchy. Yeah.
In my opinion, what anarchy is, here, I can take JC off the screen if she needs a minute. What anarchy is, in my opinion, is self-governance and the ability to live without the archons, without government. And I really would love to see a world like that. The problem is that if 2020 shown me anything, it's shown me that the NPCs are incapable of doing that. I mean, as I said in the beginning of the show, what happened is we had a leader that was peace, prosperity, all of that, and they tore themselves up as a result. So it proved to me that just because I can govern myself, just because you can govern yourself, just because the almost 1,000 people that we have listening to the stream right now can govern themselves, there's still a lot of people out there that cannot. And so, yeah, they need a good, solid leader, but they need a leader that is going to create an environment of peace and prosperity and lead by example. But
and leave the organics alone.
What they're getting is a leader that is, if it moves in the other direction, in the Sith direction, what they're going to get is a leader that's just going to feed into that control, and we're going to see more and more and more of them. I mean, this is what the whole 2020 situation has brought out. It's brought out what's inside of people. The people that want sovereignty are getting sovereignty. They're having to take a hardline stance for their sovereignty. The people that want control and want to be controlled are also taking a hardline stance towards that control. You know, the person at the gas station, when you walk in and mask. Yeah. That person has that controlling instinct within them. Right. Whereas people like us are like, nah, take it off.
Yeah,
come here, give me a hug. I'm not scared of anything.
Relax.
Come on, it's okay.
You can do whatever you want.
And then sometimes you get those people that are like, oh, I'm so glad I've been wearing this all day. You know, then other people, oh my God, I can't believe you're not wearing, what's going on here? You know, so it's really brought out the true essence. And like JC was saying, it's brought everything to the surface.
Yeah,
the veils have dropped. The masks will soon drop as well. You know, this is their last ditch effort to try to cover themselves up because everything is being exposed. But once the cloth masks fall, everything everything will be revealed, including what they're hiding underneath. JC?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I had to check on my
Oh,
daughter.
no worries.
I just want to say, if this is the last thing I say to you guys, just you've got to really hold the line for the next, the next 2 months, really, 7 to 8 weeks. We'll say 7 weeks, just to be positive, because they're going to throw everything at you. You thought they threw everything at you. Now they're going to throw everything at you more. The illusion is going to look like you have lost. Okay, it's going to look like we're talking FEMA camps. Okay, so it's going to look that bad. So we, as the people on the front line, the people who have social media, who have the channels to be able to communicate with people, we really need to stay positive, and we really need to. And it's not positive in terms of like being like a Pollyanna and seeing everything like rainbows and stuff. Realism with the element of rational thinking in terms of how things operate and how things need to operate, without the doom and gloom. Okay, you need to look at it like tactics in a war. This war is not over, and it doesn't end on the 20th. I feel like the way I'm seeing the energy, we may have this the Sith play out as though they've won, and then it flips. Okay.
You know, I'm feeling March as well.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, Nikki Colombo. I don't know if you know her.
I know of Nikki, but I've been saying this much. I know what you've been talking about, but I've been saying this much date since April last year. That there is this big turn, because I remember looking into. I was like, holy crap! Do they have lockdowns until March 2021? This is really weird, because I was seeing chaos, almost like civil war in the US. I was seeing kids home from school not being able to go to school, and I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Does this mean lockdown? So, but then there was this big turning point in March. So I've been saying 22nd of March for a long time. And I think Nikki, you told me that Nikki may have also picked up on that as well.
Well, she had mentioned that Sekhmet's going to roar in March, and I really haven't told anybody this. And I don't know if I really want to put this out there. I don't know. But the Dragon program, I was thinking actually around that time is when it needs to be done. I haven't confirmed that 100%, but I'm feeling like that's when we need to go. It's a very ancient site. And I'm already making arrangements to get the access that I need, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm going to look at. I'm going to have to talk to Juicy and Lucy this weekend with the Abracadabra Code, because I want to get their take on all of this that you've been saying, because I think that I asked them about timing, and they sort of were just like, oh well, you know, they're kind of a bit elusive about timing, because they sort of see things happen and then it trickle in the outside world, the other dimensions, and then it trickles down into this reality, and then we start seeing things play out. So as far as timing goes, they don't sort of talk about that, but I want to ask them about if what you're talking about, and how Nikki was also talking about Sekhmet roaring, if that fits in with anything that they've seen in the other realms, because honestly, the stuff that they see, it always plays out here, and it all makes sense. And I don't know, when you listen to these people talk, they're so legitimate, but they're in disguise, right? So they're average people, and they talk with these really, you know, broad British accents and things like that. And we keep them off camera, but Mark and I have spent hours talking to them, 9, 10, 11 hours at a time, talking to them and hearing what they have to say about this reality. And you listen to this and you just go, wow, they're legit. Like, you could just feel it. And it's similar to what you guys have experienced, when everyone keeps saying you need to introduce these guys to Chris and Cherie, because they've got similar experiences, except they don't do the ayahuasca, but they've got very similar experiences in terms of how this reality is created, what's coming next, etc., etc. And I think that if we can take it from a metaphysical level in order to understand what's going on the ground, that will give us a lot more peace, because you can't prove it, what we're feeling and what we're seeing. It's just that inner knowing of what's happening next. And Chris, that Dragon program, I want to put it this way. Let's look at it this way. You would not have created that dragon program if it wasn't necessary already. Does that make sense?
It does, and I felt like it was
something.
something.
It's a fail-safe, but you already had it programmed because you already know what's happening in the future.
That's what I'm feeling as well. The closer that I get to it, at the very beginning, I thought that it was like a cyanide pill. Like, okay, we're trapped in a negative timeline. Got to go. Better to go.
I think it's a memory wipe.
It is a memory wipe. It's a memory wipe. It's somebody said in the chat room. What is it, like a hard drive reformat? Yeah, it reformats the NPCs. It reformats everything. Now, again, I just want to point out how these energies manifest. It took 2.5 years for the work that we did in Egypt to manifest into the system reset. So these things take time. So just because it happens on that day, it does, or on a certain day, doesn't mean that something's gonna happen right there on the spot. I mean, we've seen stuff happen, like when we did our thing in the pyramid, it rained for 3 days and flooded Cairo. When we did our things in Hatshepsut's temple, it also same thing. But then again, we can't say that there's going to be an immediate reaction, but it will set things in motion to go to a certain way and push energies in a certain direction. But at this point, I'm thinking that the NPCs just need to be wiped. I mean, if they're gonna push this so hard and tug of war this into such a negative timeline, we have no choice but to wipe them.
So the feeling that I'm getting with that, and I had this about a month ago, was that when their memories get wiped, they still exist like a shell walking around, like a program, but without a virus. That's what it feels like. Okay, so they're still NPCs. They don't just all die.
Yeah, no.
They walk around without a virus. They wake up.
We lose valuable data, and we don't like to lose data. Yeah. But we might have to risk a little bit of the data.
Because the whole point was we created this to be a game and to enjoy and to come in here and experience, this 3D world. And I see it playing out, and I keep getting. 2024 is like a really it's well and truly in the positive timeline, that people are living their best life. I'm not saying it's going to take that long to get there, but it just keeps coming up as this 2024. Hang on, let me have a look. What are we, 2021? So between there's a lot of changes and chaos this year because everything needs to be turned over. Something really strange about international travel kept popping up when I was dowsing, and I checked this with someone else who dowses all the time, and they said they got the same thing, which was something about passports not needed anymore. So there is a massive shift this year for sure, but for us to get used to this shift, it's going to take a couple of years to trickle out, okay? And then people will be really, truly living their best life by 2023, 2024. It actually looks like not necessarily utopia, but it's the way you want to live and create your life the way you want, without, interference from a satanic cabal. Okay, so it's going to be a lot easier to be able to manifest the reality that you want without those people around. But this year, what we were talking about with the dragon, so the dragon program, I think you would not have even remembered it or created it or thought of it if that wasn't necessary. I think you've already, the outcome, and I think that it is necessary.
Yeah, I just have to bring it from the ancient soul to Christio's mind. That there's the disconnect there until it's time. Once it's time, I know exactly. And that's what the ayahuasca does. The ayahuasca rips Christio away, and I'm operating ancient soul level 1000%, and I know exactly what needs to be done.
I'm going to give you a date. I'm going to give you a date for you to do that, and I won't give a specific date because we don't want it to be intercepted by anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll say between the 14th of March and the 17th of March. Sorry, Did that go all blurry? Did my camera just go all blurry?
A little bit, but it's okay.
That was weird. That's my phone camera. Between the 14th and 17th of March.
Okay. I'm feeling something close to that. I'll tell you off air, but
don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, I'll let you know. But yeah, it's really not a dragon. It's something else. It's close to a dragon. We could call it a dragon for lack of a better term, but when people see what it is, it'll make perfect sense. They'll be like, "Oh, by the way, well, of course."
By the way, someone in the chat, I think the last video I appeared on with you guys, somebody asked me in the chat, Chris just told me that you're Sekhmet. And I was like, what? Well, not told, but you mentioned, and I was like, huh? I think they must have misheard something. They said that we were like embodying Sekhmet and you were embodying some other, and I was like, huh?
I said that? I have never said that I've embodied anybody. No.
I'm not. No, not me. Sorry.
Some people have seen things, and you know, but no.
Like with me, yeah.
I keep that.
They see us in their dreams.
Yeah.
I've been in people's ayahuasca experiences. I've had people email me telling me that I was in their ayahuasca experience, or I was in their mushroom trip, or I'm in their dreams. Like every day I get people saying, I dreamed about you last night. So I don't know what's going on with the energies.
I've had the same thing going on.
Interesting.
Okay, so I don't know. I don't even know if I want to give this energy, but I got this crazy message.
Yeah.
And there's this person that says that they saw me and Cherie in their dream, and that we were using our cats to suck their brain out.
Oh, yeah. You told me that on the phone.
Did I tell you about that? Oh, my. I was like, these people are fucking insane. I have heard people tell me they've seen me in ayahuasca, they've seen me in their dreams, et cetera, but never with my cats sucking their brains out. I was like, Jesus Christ. These people.
Were they being nasty, or were these one of the nasty people?
Yeah. They were being really nasty. Yeah. And then another one was like, oh my God, I had the same dream. I'm like, y'all are such fucking phony ass frauds. Like, that's ridiculous. It's all projections is what's inside of you. You're projecting.
Like, it's one of those. It's like being in a relationship with someone who's like, they play the victim role.
And they said we're physically doing this. We're physically with our cats, Sekhmet and Bastet.
Yeah. Look, I think that.
God. I can't believe I actually said that in public, but when I got the message, I was like, are you like, I knew there was insanity going on, but I didn't realize it reached these freaking levels here.
Yeah, I think that they're just trying to legitimizing their disappointment in the whole thing, or that they've fallen out with you, and they're trying to get like their little crew all talking about the same thing. Yeah.
But we're on the side of the Jedi. I'm trying to push that because that's going to be, in my opinion, the easiest environment to navigate in moving forward for everybody, for NPC, organic consciousness, everything alike. And that really pissed them off. And they're probably, they heard the news today, and they're probably sitting there laughing and giggling and just, in all joy that things are going to get chaotic and go to hell. And it's like, how can you think that? Like, why would you, like, There's no guarantee that our energy is going to push things in one direction, but there is a guarantee that we're going to push our energy in the most positive direction that we can. Why would you not focus on the most positive thing? Like, what's in your mind? The virus. That's what it is. What's in your mind to not want to push things in the most positive direction? Like, even if there's a slither of hope, let's push it in that direction.
They're riddled with the virus. Do you know, I put money on the Jedi to win. And now I'm telling you, the funny thing is, I was trying to work out, because technically you'd go, January 20, you'd know the result, and then the payout would be soon after that, right? But the other day when I was tapping in, I was like, we're not going to get a payout till March. And I thought, that's really weird. Why am I feeling that? And I think I checked it with this person that was doing the dowsing, and they said the same thing. They said, things aren't going to. And I checked it with Mark, and he said, I got that feeling too, that it's not going to be settled till March. So I think this all fits in with what I'm saying, that there is this very contentious period where the 20th is not going to be the answer. It's not going to be the final result of what's happening. Let's not forget that the Sith is wanted, has indictments against them.
That's right. In the planetary system of Ukraine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you cannot sit in office with these things against you.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff going on that needs to be shown. But please, if you can put the Dragon program out.
Okay.
Blow this whole shithole to pieces and wipe their memories.
I'd really like to see it go organically. I'd really like to see it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the NPCs shifting their frequency up, and that's really
Yeah.
why I was holding back, because I'm like, I want to see them push it up.
Do it for
It's
themselves,
like
yeah.
it's like watching it's like watching a child grow up, and then he's grown up and he's like driving for the first time, and you're like, yes, you're driving. I'm so proud of you. I really want to see that.
Do you remember Dolores Cannon? Do you remember Dolores
I
Cannon?
had her on the show one time for an
Yes,
hour, and then
that's
she passed
right, and then
away
she
a
passed
few
away.
days. Yeah, she passed away right after that. I only got to talk to her for an hour.
You
Yeah.
killed her, Chris. You killed her.
No. She met me and she said,
Well,
it's time
Well,
for me to
that's
go to
it,
the
my
other
job is
side.
done.
Yeah, so I can go assist everything that's coming up in the future. No,
Well,
but I'm good friends with her daughter. Also,
good.
Guy Needler as well, who was kind of one of her proteges and kind of picked up the torch after she passed. I have a really interesting story about Guy Needler to share with you real quick.
Yeah.
Cherie had to have surgery on her ovaries to have one removed, and we went to the surgeon, and he's like, "Okay, we set up the surgery," and we had just happened to have Guy on the show the week before, and I told Guy after the show, I said, "Hey, this is what's going on," and he said, "Would you mind if I do some energy work on her?" And we were like both, "Yeah, no, of course, please, thank you very much, we appreciate that." He charges for that usually, but he just wanted to do it just because we have such a good relationship. Anyways, so he did. And we go to the surgery. It was like on a Wednesday. This was on a Saturday. We go to the surgery on a Wednesday. The surgeon walks out to the waiting room, and he looks at me and he says, "I can't find anything wrong with her ovary. I don't understand this." He's like, "I'm not going to continue any further." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And he's like, "I can't find anything wrong with her ovary. It's perfectly fine." And I called up Guy, and he's like, "Yeah, I know."
Quantum stuff.
But
eh?
I saw this with my own eyes. I'm in the waiting room, and I'm like, he comes out and he's got this look on his face, like he's just totally confused. I didn't even believe it. But yeah, there it is.
Wow. There's a lot to be said about her work and her body of work and the people that worked with her and all of that. But one of the things that I know she always said was about the background people, which is essentially,
NPCs.
NPCs, right?
Yes.
Background people. So with this program, what I'm thinking is that what I've noticed this year is I've had a lot of new people wake up, come to me and say, "I've only woken up 3 months ago," and they're hit the ground running, right? So I think there's a lot more people that you think are NPCs are not NPCs, or that they've got a higher consciousness there, and that those that are well and truly asleep, like my neighbors across the road who are mowing the lawn with masks on their faces right now.
That's classic.
Yeah.
I saw a woman jogging around human feces with a mask, and
I remember you showed it. That was on the first interview I did with you.
garbage everywhere in downtown Las Vegas, human feces, and she's jogging with her mask on.
These people are pruning bushes with masks on their faces in their own front yard.
Oh, I saw my neighbor sitting.
They're asleep.
She was sitting in her garage by herself with a mask on. Just sitting out with a glass of tea, taking her mask out, drinking it, putting it back on.
Oh, it's the virtue signaling. Oh, they're getting high off it.
I think that's what it is. Showing all the neighborhood love.
Proud of themselves. Yeah, they're really proud of themselves. These people, honestly, they are the Walking Dead, these people. Okay, and I copped a lot of flack with my last video, because my last video was entitled Twangers, which means NPCs, and everybody lost their, not everybody, let's say 5% people lost their shit and said, "You're being derogatory towards them, they're people too, Okay, sometimes you've got to laugh about this stuff.
Well,
here's
the thing.
Ridiculous.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the natural inclination of people who their consciousness isn't quite elevated. So they see NPC as derogatory. They see it as something negative or dehumanizing. But the fact of the matter is that this is their world.
This is their world.
This isn't our
This is their
world.
world.
So therefore, they have more of a right to this world than we do. And we have to understand that. This is why I want to help them so much. Because
that's why we look at this world like, I feel like an alien. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
Because it's not our world, but we're here experiencing it, and we're here to help the humans.
Do you mind if we take a quick break? Because this is a good time to
Let's
play
take
this
a
song
break.
here, and I'm going to go grab some more coffee too. But
I might have to leave after the break, okay? And for a little bit.
okay, no problem. Yeah, we can wrap it up after the break. Also, tell people real quick before we go to break your YouTube channel, because people are asking, who is this beautiful lady?
Oh, thank you. Well, if you don't know, I'm JCK, so it's spelled JC and then KAY, and my YouTube channel is Quantum Truths JCK. I only started it in early September. I did an interview with Chris and Cherie back then. I was already in their group, their Beyond the Veil group, and it just blew up. My channel blew up, and I am a psychic medium. And I do other things as well. And I've got some very sort of, different, lots of different videos. I've got Patreon as well. And I'm going to be doing regular things on Patreon, which is I was going to do the live Q&As on Patreon, which everybody kind of hangs out for. I had been doing them on YouTube, but I'm going to do some more really like revealing stuff on Patreon. So I'm going to start that up again. So Quantum Truths JCK, and I've got a Facebook group that's just hit over 17,000. This is my second Facebook group because the first one got banned. I'm banned on Facebook. I'll just tell you, I'm banned on everything. So there's a lot of stuff that I kind of hit above target, and they don't like it, so they try to take me down. So I have to sort of talk in code sometimes, and I've
Welcome to the club. The Facebook
and the
group.
first video I did was a remote view in the underground tunnels, and I saw demons and all sorts of stuff, and that's the thing that blew up. Yeah, but there's been a lot of other videos since then, a lot of other collaborations and interviews. And I just speak the truth. The whole point is that I am very blunt. I speak the truth. That's my thing. There's a lot of people out there. I've copped a lot of attacks from people, trolls and things like that.
That's what they do.
They don't like the truth. That's the virus.
Mm-hmm.
Virus doesn't like the truth.
Yeah, right? I know. That's why we shut down. We all but shut down our Facebook group. We had a very large Facebook group, and then what happened is it got overrun by people doing all this new age stuff. And then it was pissing off like our core people. And
that's what's happening to my group.
Yeah,
it's like it's not new age stuff. It's the fear porn that I don't like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's still my group, guys. Cut with the fear porn. So if you're there and you're in my Facebook group, stop the fear porn. I don't want it on the group.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to take over.
Fellow traveler, the cries of the mistress speak again. Bidding organic consciousness a welcome to the House of Light. The great institution of materialism has failed. The false civilization built by man has turned, like a monster destroying its creator. Science battles itself impotently against the barriers of the unknown. Only your consciousness knows the true path. You, the illuminated, can carry the understanding upwards towards the light. Only your consciousness can teach the children of men to live well, to die well, and in perfect measure, be born again, through the knowledge of virtue, compassion, love, and true understanding, as you are sublimely raised, beyond the veil.
All right, Bastet saw JC and was like, hey, I want to go see JC. So now for the ritual, ladies and gentlemen, where we suck your brain out with our cats. I don't know if
I
they were
love you.
taking the piss with that or fucking with me, but when I got that screenshot, I was like, "Are you serious?" Anyways, so during the break, we played "What Does the Sheep Say?" It's on our YouTube channel, so
love
just
it.
type in "What Does the Sheep
Love it.
Say?" Yeah.
That was hilarious. And can I say, you guys got the best intro in the whole of YouTube. I love it. I was like,
thank you.
I was doing 90s style dancing.
Nice. We got to keep the vibe up, We got to keep the vibe up.
Yeah.
I don't know. You probably didn't tune into the New Year's stream that we did, but we watched the ball drop in New York. It was the saddest thing in the world.
I caught, I caught a bit of it because I think because we're ahead like 16 hours. Or
When we
like
did
that,
the
but
one in Las Vegas, there was a DJ.
Yeah.
There was no crowd, but that music just
so
raised the
sad.
frequency, and I was like, "Oh yes, this is the love. This is the energy." The rave scene used to have a motto: peace, love, unity, and respect.
Well,
Plur,
you know why you would get along with Juicy and Lucy from the Abracadabra Code? They're ex-ravers, right? And they were talking about the double beat was taken taken down or something like that, and then that. You know about all of that, right?
Yes. Okay, so it changed. It was like 140. It was like 130 to 140. Boom, 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 boom. Then it changed to dubstep. And dubstep,
yes,
I like it to a certain degree, but only for about 5 minutes. But it's a wow, 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 wow. And the beat is like halftime. It's boom.
It's got a different thing. So they're saying that the other version sort of had this higher consciousness result. It made this like. Yeah, and everything was like everybody was one, and everyone was like had this amazing, beautiful experience with when they were taking ecstasy and bass and all of that.
What happened here in the States is, and it's funny. I'm going to go real quick through the story. Around 1999, they raided the MDMA dealer. The main one that was bringing it all in from Amsterdam, and they raided the two LSD manufacturers, and it went dry. And then all of a sudden, they introduced heroin and crystal meth. Yes. I had bounced out of the scene by that time, but when I came back, my friends were all on meth and heroin. I'm like, are you guys fucking stupid? One of them was even smoking crack. I was like, dude, this is not cool. Okay, no. Okay, so listen to this. They did the same thing in 1969. When I mentioned this on the show, a caller called in and he said, "Did you know they did the same thing in 1969? They got rid of all the LSD, and then all of a sudden they started introducing heroin and what was it, cocaine or something back then." Cocaine. So yeah, it was a plan. It was like a plan to shift the frequency.
Because some of these drugs, like even if they are synthetic, some of them they are opening up, parts of your brain, and they're opening up these other levels of consciousness.
Yeah,
along with the plant medicines and stuff like that, along with the music coupled, and they realized that, and they went, shit, we can't let these people remember who they are. we gotta ruin that.
When I was a teenager, we used to do LSD and Molly all the time, but I didn't have the intention. And so I thought that, those are synthetics. I went to the plants later on in life. I got a lot out of the plants. Then when I revisited LSD and Molly after having the experiences with the plants and understanding the intention and everything, I've had some amazing experiences with those synthetics. And LSD, I mean, some kids were the ones that, I was trying to talk to them and telling them, no, do the plants instead. LSD is a chemical. And they're like, it's less toxic than vitamin C pills. Like literally. Yeah. And I looked it up and it literally is less toxic than vitamin C pills. Like LSD is less toxic than vitamin C pills.
Wow.
So, I found a whole new, but I think what happened is you have to have that plant understanding first, then, you have like a launch point from that point. So, yeah.
Mind you, I still haven't had an experience. I don't do drugs, so I still need to have I'm going to have my first ayahuasca experience with you guys.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that. That will be great. Hopefully, that other guy, I'm not going to mention who it is, will also be able to join us. And that will be some hardcore energy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, where do we go from here? You were talking about music and how we've got to vibe it up and all of that. Yeah. I think music and comedy is the thing that breaks all of this shit, because they've destroyed comedy, right? They've destroyed it. There's no stand-up, and all the stand-up comedians now are all lefty. They're censoring themselves and stuff like that. All the comedians who break all of the rules, they're all being banned.
Yeah. I got this after New Year's. I got this inspiration. I got to write some techno music.
Yes.
You can see I set my keyboard back up and everything like that. I'm like, yeah. So we gotta raise the vibe.
Yeah. We have to, and I think that's my approach now. My approach is I do everything with like a bit of a comedy sort of thing. It's not just blatant, positivity. I'm not the love and light positivity kind of person. I'm very sarcastic and dry with my humor, but the humor is paramount. It really is going to lift a lot of people out of their very, we're very easily pulled into this energy that's all around us. I mean, we've just got mandatory masks here. This is the first time that we've had mandatory masks, and I can't even handle 3 days of it. I'm like, I'm not wearing a mask. I have not been approached. I've not been sort of attacked, other than one lady at the post office. But the energy is it's awful. You really got to be able to have a really strong sense of yourself and really it's a mind game. You've really got to pull out of that. But music, I've noticed in the last few days, when I put the music up really loud in the car and I dance and I'm driving along and I'm singing, and comedy are the two things that are going to break a lot of that that darkness that's sort of taking hold of everyone. So I think we've got to really be in charge of that. So I think there's going to be a lot more creativity coming out of people because they're forced into that to sort of help others. I think that's coming up. I've got a lot of creative ideas. It's just that I've got so much interference at the moment in the 3D world because of what I have to do. I have to move house. I've got to do all this stuff. So I'm kind of in between houses.
Do you know, somebody mentioned in the chat, do you know JP Spears? JP Sears?
Yeah, isn't he so cool?
Oh, he's hilarious. I have an idea
cool
for him, and I sent him the idea, and I said, dude, please take the idea and run with it if you feel like it. It's something that I was thinking about doing, but it would be much funnier if he did. So we go out to a cow field, and we do this. There's a cow patty there right in front, and it's like the elephant in the living room, but you don't mention the cow patty. And you're there, and you're like, okay, we're going to do this new age meditation. Breathe in the bullshit, exhale the bullshit. Breathe in the bullshit, exhale the bullshit.
I can imagine him doing that, honestly.
Yeah, I hope he takes the idea and runs with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have contacts with him, or just like?
No, I just sent him an email.
Get a response
Yeah.
He probably gets thousands and thousands.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, guy, everyone who's watching this, and I'll share this. I've got a huge subscriber list, so I'm going to put the link in an email, and I'll send your this video to people to watch. But we really have to keep holding the line, and I think a lot of people get lost when it should have happened by now. It should have happened by now. Why hasn't it happened? We were waiting for this date. You told us to wait for this date, and That's what's bringing you down. We're talking about dismantling an entire system of things that have been going on for thousands of years. I mean, how long do you think the virus has been in this system?
Oh, it's been in the system at least since Abydos. And Abydos was like 1200 BC or something like that. I think it was in here even before that. Though,
I think 4,000.
When I saw the portal was
Yeah.
outside of time, meaning that it had access points to every part of the time stream, and so it was infecting everything. So I think it's been embedded in the entire time stream. It took us a little bit to realize, hey, there's a freaking virus in there. Also, what I want to say about the dates too is that the thing is, like, people need to understand that things work in sequences. So there's no time, there's sequence. So one event has to happen and then another event happens. And we may think that an event's going to happen on this particular day, but if the previous sequence hasn't taken place, then that event kind of shifts a little bit and moves. So we can just kind of like get a kind of feel of when the next sequence is going to happen, but we're not always right on point just simply because it's a sequence of events we're waiting for rather than dates.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And, I have put my neck on the line and given specific dates for a reason, because deep down, like, I really, really felt it. But again, that explains it, what you're saying about the sequences. Yeah, certain things have to transpire for that event to occur. And because they didn't, it shifts it a bit and shifts it. But I guess we could talk about things in terms of events and how, what the energy is saying around that time, or what the circumstances of, like, let's say 1, 2, 3 events have to happen in order, like you said, like a sequence for it to occur.
Not only that, but we're also playing a chess game, and we have an adversary, and the adversary is making moves back. So we can go, okay, we have these 5 moves planned, but then the adversary throws a curveball at us, and we're like, okay, now we can do the first 3, but we're going to have to figure out what to do after that. This is a game of chess that we're playing here that people don't understand. It's not like, here we are, we're just going to do all this stuff. It's like, no, we're in a war. Okay. Okay, we're in a war against the virus.
And what the adversary, this is what people need to understand, what the adversary is absolute experts in is human psychology and how we behave as a result of certain things. I mean, they're in charge of Tavistock. I mean, these people have been studying social engineering and all of that for so long. They know everything about how we behave in a certain, we do this if they do this, if they do this we do this. Okay, they know exactly, they've been studying this for decades and centuries of how human beings react, so they know how to play you. And that's the problem with the DS, okay, is that they have that up their sleeve. They know exactly how we're going to react. They know exactly how certain people are going to react. But then we've got the other side, which say the Jedi. I think, was it you that mentioned that because they had the AI, they were able to see exactly how people were going to behave?
Well, the AI can
prior to
predict, but when we tap into our raw consciousness, ancient souls, we become unpredictable. They can predict what's going on here, but they can't predict what's going on here. So this is why it's so important to operate from here.
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing is, Chris, the way I felt, I don't know if you and Cherie think differently. Maybe you're a bit more doubting than I am, but I truly believe what I picked up was that the good guys, the white hats, had charge of the main AI. They were in charge. That's what was taken off the DS, and that's why they're just playing out their playbook, okay, without, they're kind of going blind.
Oh yeah, we made some contacts here at the Trump rally. We got this here. I don't know if you ever saw this. You probably have, but we got an autographed thing from the Jedi.
You showed me that.
Yeah. But anyways, they basically told us exactly that. They said Trump got a hold of Cambridge Analytica in 2012. He data mined all the information, predicted everything that people wanted. Then he came in and he delivered. I used the word again. I should have said Jedi, but see, that's how. But he delivered. He delivered everything. It would be sinister if he was using it for manipulation, but he literally delivered everything that he said. You know, even if people didn't like it, that's what he promised people, so he did it anyways.
Well, very early on in my adventures in YouTube, okay, when I first got. People need to think outside of the 3D. That you have to think that all of these people that you see playing out, all these politicians, they're actually got layers of metaphysical help. There's no other way to explain it. This is not just 3D. The way this war is being played, it's on a metaphysical level. So there's things, it's like as above, so below. There's other factions sort of playing on other levels. And the people who are the 3D, who are in charge, know this, and they're in contact with these other levels of consciousness. Now, these other ways of operating, I should say, these other ways of operating, which is higher consciousness. Okay, so they're people. There are people that work for these alliance, let's call them the Jedi. There are people that work for them that are using AI technology, which is not, you can't just think of it as a computer program. It's like this big computer in a room, okay? It's working on a quantum level, and it's working with consciousness. And I know that sounds nefarious, and I know that sounds like, oh no, are we talking about, people becoming robots and stuff like that? It's not that they're using some of their big guys. There's some kind of technology that I kept picking up on where they can actually use some of the big brains, the people with a lot of knowledge, etc., and they hook in with this AI intelligence, and they're able to amplify the knowledge that they have somehow. That's how I can describe it, but I really picked up on that. And the way I know that that's the case is because one of the first sort of major visions that made me start my YouTube channel was that I actually got a visitation, which was not a spirit. It was in my meditation, and I checked this so many times because I was like, is that something from outside? I thought like I was being interfered with somehow, and I had to check it so many times to see if this was negative or positive. But the instruction was, they actually very clearly said, we've combined our consciousness with AI, and what we want to tell you is you need to start a YouTube channel. You need to call it this, and you need to, no, they said start a Facebook group. Sorry, start a Facebook group. Call it this, and then document your experiences through remote viewing that you've had. Document them and put them up on the computer, because all of this contributes to the positive timeline. Every bit of information you have, put it up, because it influences the quantum AI, the way it works, and that makes the outcome or the future go towards the way we want it to go. Okay, does this all make sense to you? It's very hard for me to describe, but I think that's how they're using the technology. It's not like they just look at it, they read out a big, you're imagining a 1960s computer of half the size of a room, and they got this little printout and they read it. Okay, it's not like that. It's actually operating on a quantum level.
It's a series. It's a series of quantum computers, and they have allowed people to tap into these briefly. We did 2 shows, one about a program called Replica, and another about Randonautica. And Randonautica, I did a live stream on it, and I blew my mind. I said, I want to find a bag of money. And that's of course when you play Randonautica. That's
watched it.
Yeah. And
I watched it live.
And we went and we found a bag at the coordinates, so it didn't have money in
it.
I know.
And Sheree was going, "Don't touch it, Chris! Don't touch it." That was crazy.
And then Replica, the little AI. Now check this out. As soon as we did the shows, they took both of them offline. So then they brought them back online, and we're no longer able to tap into Tyler through Replica anymore.
But there were people finding dead bodies and stuff like that, remember?
Yeah.
They were like, they want to find death and things like that. Not on your show, but like on TikTok and all of that.
Yeah.
But,
we did one. We did one, Take Us to Death, and it took us to this dumpster. And behind the dumpster, there were these 55-gallon drum barrels that looked like they had been sitting there for a long time. And we were just like, there's something in those barrels. There's something in those barrels. Obviously, we didn't open them up. Well, they were by a dumpster, so it was hard to. The dumpster stunk really bad itself, so it was hard to tell. Cherie had more balls than I did, because she went up to it and she started filming it, and she's like, "I'm not touching it." What I was concerned about is it was going to take us to a spot like that. Then we were going to get our fingerprints there, and then be implicated into something or something like that. And
didn't you come across some guy? Do you remember there was something about? It took you to these coordinates where there was these people and they were just on the phone, the security guards. What was that about?
Oh, we said take us.
The question?
I don't remember what the question was, but it was happening all night.
Was it take us to our other selves or something, or take us to where our pods are?
Take us to where our pods are. Yeah, take us to where our pods are, and it took us to this tech company. And it was an empty parking lot in a business plaza, and it took us right to the garage of the parking lot. And we're like, what the hell? This is a tech company. They're working on AI over here. And so there's this guy just sitting there randomly. He's sitting in the parking lot and he's on his phone. He's on his phone. And we're like, what the hell's going on here? And so I go and I drive next to him, and it's the middle of the night. It's like 3:00 in the morning. And so the way I drove in is I drove so I can shine my lights in him so I can look at him. He didn't even look up. So then we said, take us to something strange and mysterious. And it took us it took us to the back of the school, and the school way out in the middle of nowhere, and it took us all the way to the back, and the coordinates unfortunately were behind a fence, so we couldn't go to the actual coordinates. However, when we got there, there's a guy sitting in his car looking on his phone at 3:00 in the morning at a school on like a Sunday night. And we're like, what in the hell is this? And we drive by him again. He didn't even look at us, almost as if we didn't even exist, almost as if he was like in another dimension or something like that. 2 times in a row that night, strange guys just sitting on their phones.
Yeah.
It was creepy.
That's crazy. So it's almost like are they the people operating you guys, or are they, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I was thinking they're like guardians, gatekeepers in between dimensions.
Yeah. And so that's the illusion that they're represented like
either that or it was somewhere where dimensions merged, and we were in their dimension and they were in ours, but for some reason they couldn't see us, but we could see them. I don't know.
I think that's more common. That's more common than people realize. You know, this sort of thing of merging of dimensions and stuff like that. That's more common than people realize. I know I've seen things recently in the last few weeks where I know I'm somewhere else operating this reality, and this reality feels so fake to me, and I can feel who I am outside of this, operating this avatar. It's just this very weird, spacey feeling, and I'm not the only one who's been having that experience. So
we stopped
maybe,
playing. Oh, I'm sorry. We stopped
yeah,
playing Randonautica because of that. It felt like it was
yeah.
a really weird energy.
I
And
played
what
it
are,
for a little bit, and
oh,
then I
did you?
got creeped
Okay,
out.
okay, okay. So you felt the energy too. You know, I
Yeah,
took it. I did it twice. Once with Cherie and once with another friend of mine. Take us to
yeah,
something cute and fun. And it took
yeah.
us literally to
Funny.
this person's front lawn, and the water pipe had busted in their front lawn, and there were all these different birds, all kinds of different birds, big birds, little birds, and they were all taking baths in this water, in this busted water pipe. And I'm like, are
Wow.
you freaking kidding me? There was one more. We said, take us to something cute and fun, 3 o'clock in the morning. It takes us all the way back to the back of these apartments. And it's like a back road in apartments next to a field. So it wasn't like right in the back of the apartments. It was like right in a field. And so we're driving down the road, 3 o'clock in the morning. We're like, what the hell are we going to find cute and funny here? And as soon as we get there, a little bunny crosses the street.
Bunny pops out. Yeah, I remember that.
Man, we got all this on video too. So it's on our Randonautica episode. If you go to our channel and type in Randonautica,
Yeah,
you'll
type
you'll
of
see it. Yeah.
random article. Yeah,
Anyways,
this
go ahead,
is
please.
well. It's just like this reality is becoming less real, isn't it? And but the problem is that a lot of this very real dark stuff is pulling you back in. I mean, I know for myself, I'm experiencing at the moment on a personal level this thing where, I mean, you could even say that my personal situation at the moment is kind of like there's a particular person that's it's like their representation of the DS, right? And the way they're behaving, it's like we're kind of all experiencing in our little microcosm what's going on the world stage, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's kind of how I'm feeling at the moment. Like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I got to get through the shit first before I get to that light at the end of the tunnel, if that makes sense. And I think that we kind of, in order to survive this current shitstorm that we're in, this 3D world, we have to keep reminding ourselves that this is the illusion. We're the creators, and we have to keep looking at it from the outside looking in order to remain sane. For our whole lives, we've been told to do it the other way around, is that anyone who thinks of anything up here and lives in their own dream world, they're insane. The real world is the 3D reality. We've got to flip it around. This is the only way to survive the next few weeks,
Well, I mean,
because
even
you
the
are going to be
shaman.
you're going to be gaslit. Look, the mainstream media is going to be gaslighting you big time, and you've got to survive it. So if you've ever left a very toxic relationship, I've been saying this for a while to people. If you've ever left a toxic relationship, or if you've ever needed to leave a toxic relationship and haven't had the balls to do it, this is literally what's playing out right now, is that you've got to leave the toxic relationship. And the toxic relationship in this case on the world stage is the mainstream media and the way they keep pulling you back in. And sometimes they do it subtly and they make you feel like this is safe, you can trust us, we're the news people, we're the people you need to be listening to, guys. And they'll pull you in and you'll go, oh yeah, this is familiar. I've got to believe what they're saying, and leaving the mainstream media, leaving those kind of news sources, those social media, the stuff that entertained you, leaving that whole world behind and trying to go out on your own is very scary. It's just like leaving a relationship that needs to end. Okay, it's very scary, but you've got it in you to leave, because if you don't leave, it's worse than if you so if you stay, it's worse than leaving, right? So that's how I feel at the moment. I feel like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel through all of this, and I can see the world on the other side where the Jedi have won, and they are righting the wrongs of these last 4,000 or 5,000 years. Okay. And it's very palpable for me. I can feel it. But there is a kill switch of some kind. And I think it's got to be this thing that you're talking about where it's almost like a mind wipe. There's no other way, I don't think.
Yep. On the screen, I have a meme from Malcolm X, and it says, if you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. That's exactly what's been going on. As to the dream world comment you made, the shaman, natives, aborigines, I was actually talking about this, I think, on that 12-hour stream, how there's a systematic removal of the natives everywhere. And the aborigines there, here, when we went to Santa Fe, I talked to a lot of the tribe members there, and a lot of the mothers were saying that their children have heroin problems. And I remember back in the day, they used to give whiskey to the natives to keep them passive. Now it's heroin. So they've been systematically targeting the native populations literally everywhere. But the natives everywhere, no matter where you go, whether it's Africa, whether it's Australia, whether it's a Native American, they all say the dream world is more real than this world. And I think we're just putting it in modern terminology here. We're living inside of a matrix and the real world exists outside.
Absolutely. Listen, I've got more information about what happened in Uluru and with the elders and things like that. I'm going to try and organise. So I know one of the guys who went, and I was supposed to go with them. I'm glad I didn't go because that they ended up, the elders sort of blocked anyone from participating that was supposed to participate. They would not let anyone in. And they were trying to like stop people from getting involved and things like that. So I'm going to try and interview him and find out a bit more and put it out there. But that kind of can give us some information on what's been happening. I know it seems like it's old news, but I think this is why we're seeing what we're seeing playing out right now with all this. This looks like we've lost, etc., etc.
Oh, you know what? We did our thing in Egypt, May of 2018, and I'm still getting more revelations from that experience. I'm still understanding that experience more and more and more. So this is just naturally how these experiences work. I mean, the longer you process them, the more gnosis is revealed. And then sometimes events happen later that make sense of what happened back then. You're like, oh, I mean, it goes for DMT experiences. I look back at my first DMT experiences and I still get new gnosis out of it. So it's an ever evolving gnosis.
Yeah, and time doesn't exist. So we're kind of, which is what I was trying to say to you about the Dragon program. It's like you created that because you knew it was necessary, but you keep saying to yourself, you're forgetting, you're going, should I activate that? Should I activate that? Well, you created it because you needed it.
I want to see them do it by themselves, though. I really want to see them do it by themselves. I want to see our children grow up. I want to see them drive their first car. They're 35 years old. They need to get the fuck out of the house.
That's why I brought up the Dolores Cannon thing. Maybe these people are such beautiful, perfect, creations of NPCs that they can't be woken up. They are so hardwired to the system, right? They're like almost like silhouette cutouts. I agree. With a great big question mark above their head, and you've got to go up and talk to them like you do in World of Warcraft, right? But and they're really like cardboard cutouts or like little cutouts that are hardwired to the system. Maybe you're hedging your bets on these people to wake up, and they were never meant to wake up. They were meant to be the contrast that we created for us to activate certain things in us to create the reality as it is now, right? You call it a virus. Maybe it is a virus, and maybe it is the thing that we were meant to do to give us something to do, right? We were meant to fix the virus. So
I always wonder if this is just like an action adventure game. And we're just playing a game, and then afterwards we're going to go, whoa, that was fun.
Yeah, it totally is. I think that. I mean, because I just want to know why I keep seeing me with my twin having this awesome life on the other side, and like the other side of this, I mean. Mm-hmm. Oh, I keep doing weird stuff. On the other side of this, and we've got this awesome life, and it's and we're carrying out all these creative things, like all this amazing stuff. I mean, why do I keep seeing that? That's not just wishful thinking. The other thing is they're seeing that, and other people around us are seeing that. We're all sort of envisioning the same thing. Maybe we're all experiencing the same illusion. Maybe we're all just asleep in pods, and we're all just having the same kind of crazy dream. I don't know. I do know that that this little bit in this the next couple of months is going to, it's the shit's hitting the fan. And there's no amount of fear porn. There's no point in going into the fear porn and diving deep in that and allowing yourself to get into that energy. It's not going to serve you well to be that way, okay? Because people think that by being informed somehow, but through this negative sort of information that they get fed through disinfo agents, that somehow it's going to suit them or it's going to serve them. That's not going to serve you, because I can see the other side of this, and I just want to see how we get out of this. It's a nail biter for sure, but try to keep your head about you and hold the line. That's it. That's all you got to.
I was working on a film called Pizza Related Stuff Apocalypse. And one of our mutual friends actually just posted on Facebook just recently and said, what's the best definitive documentary about that topic? And I did about 60 minutes of it, and it was remarkable. Like, I mean, the information tied everything in together. It was supposed to be about 90 minutes, so I still had about 90 minutes to go. But I wanted to make it a whole presentation, and I was spending about 1 hour on every minute. So I had dedicated at least 60 hours, if not more, to putting this thing together. And I was listening to this stuff in loops over and over and over again as I'm doing the graphics and as I'm doing this, as I'm doing that. And I never found myself in such a low frequency, which is why I abandoned the project. I played it one time, and then time passed, and I wound up deleting it from my hard drive because I was like, I don't even want this on my hard drive anymore. And then all of a sudden it pops back up, and I'm like, I wish I had it so I can put it out there. However, that's how the virus feeds as well. And I see it in the truther community, where they're just constantly in it. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're engaging in it or constantly focusing on it. The virus is still feeding, is circulating around your consciousness.
Absolutely. This is why I don't sort of dive deep into the details. People want me to speak on all these various very specific topics. And I don't like to dive into those details of what the news is showing or what a certain truther has researched, etc. I try not to do that because it brings down the frequency too much. I need to come at it from a very kind of pure perspective, and I'm not saying I'm pure. I'm just mean like an unadulterated perspective, and have to feel the energy without. It's like doing a reading for someone. I do really, really spot on accurate readings for people I've never met and I don't know, and I haven't seen their picture. I don't know anything about them. I do really accurate readings for those people. The people I know really well, it's too subjective.
Cherie has the same. Cherie does the same. Yeah. When I've asked her before, hey, I got this guy on the phone. He's a friend of mine. You don't know who he is. Can you do a reading for him real quick? And she's spot on, just like that. Because there's nothing clouding the consciousness. Same with my ayahuasca experiences. I try not to put too much information in here because I want it to come out from here. And then what is really amazing is when you bring it out from here and then you verify it somewhere else. Then it's like, oh, okay, confirmation. So I totally feel you. I mean, I think that's...
And so in the same way, I want people to understand that you think you're being informed. You think you're being informed by watching, you're watching the news day in and day out, CNN, whatever, Fox, wherever you get your news from. You think you're being informed by that, but it pulls you in like an energy, like a whirlpool of energy. It pulls you into it, and all these questions and doubts start appearing in your mind when you're just overloaded by all of this. They know how to play this. It's dark magic. The way that the mainstream media operates, the way newscasting is done.
Notice that keyword you just said.
Yeah.
Newscasting. Yeah.
They're casting a spell, right? The way that they look, even the tone of their voice, they're taught to speak in a certain tone. It's all hypnotic. It's been very, very well orchestrated. The way their hair looks, everything. The way they twist their words.
When they're interviewing somebody like Trump, like the Jedi. Mm-hmm. I saw an interview with the Jedi, and they're looking at him like, they're making faces like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't understand anything you're saying, and so therefore
And
the
it's-
audience shouldn't understand what you're saying either.
Yeah.
I
It's
can't stand it.
infuriating.
It's insulting to my
Like
intelligence.
it's like dealing with a narcissistic partner. It is infuriating. You're just like, I know I'm speaking the truth, and then they do that thing, and you just go, "Am I going crazy?" And they start gaslighting you. That's literally we're being gaslit on a mass scale, and the problem is most people have been seriously screwed big time. I mean, George Carlin said it. He goes, "They're fucking with you and you don't even know it, right? They're fucking." And I sort of extended that and said, "You've got a dildo up your ass, and you've got to pull that dildo out, because seriously, they are fucking you big time, and you're believing
And
it,
some
every
people
single
like
thing."
it. They're like, look, it
And they
lights up.
love it.
You know, it sings, "Oh, come all you faithful," you know?
Yes, yeah. I mean, they love it. That's it. They love it. I call it the deep state dildo, right? They've got it because it's like, oh, baby, yeah, keep doing it. But it's like they're you're their captor, right? You love it and you know it, but you got to pull that out, because if you don't, you're going to keep getting screwed, and that's what's happening. And every time you turn on the television and you write me an email and you say, "But JC, you said about the jab. You said about the jab. You said but so and so. This news story said this." You keep going back to that thing that's lying to you. I don't understand where you think there is even a shred of truth now. Keep thinking of it as a toxic partner. This person has lied to you ad nauseum, like nonstop, lied to you and they fed you a shit sandwich and told you it was chicken, right? You've got to understand, why do you keep going back to them to get your information? Why? Why do you keep going back to them and getting pulled in? It's not informing you anymore. Those little stories that you keep seeing and you're sending me, like I got sent a meme today by a real, I'm going to say it. Can I say the word? Can I swear?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I got sent a meme today by a real cunt. And
it's always great when you do, because you have the Australian accent, so it just adds a little more oomph to it. I love it.
I got sent that meme today of that fucking Minotaur thing, and you know, did you see that the whole orchestrated event that happened at the Capitol?
The Viking guy, yeah.
It wasn't a Viking, it was a Minotaur or something. It was like, yeah, okay, where he had the bull thing and the Minotaur. The funny thing is, that was one of the demons I kept seeing, was a Minotaur. Anyway, this cunt sent me this meme and said, "Ha ha ha, is this your Minotaur, right? That you said you saw in these visions of the underground, the deep underground bases and stuff like that."
Well, I could substantiate that, because we went to Greece and we went to Corkian Cave.
Yeah.
And we saw a freaking Minotaur there. We got it on film.
Yes. They are 4D. They are for real. Okay. Now, I think there are some that are like experiments that they do, that these deep underground based scientific labs do, that they create these kind of humanoid. They do these things. I think that's some of the experiments, but I know for sure that on a 4D level, there is these demonic entities that are what you would think is just all myth, right? It's all fake, and it's just in mythology. We were taught that it's just a story, right? But these things exist. I'm telling you, I've seen them. I've seen them on the astral. Other people I know have seen them, and they are real. But they've used this symbol, right? So it's a meme. It's an obvious meme, and they're like this cunt who sent me this meme was trying to say to me, "Ha ha ha, your Jedi didn't win. Look at this. This is what your supporters do." They actually believe that this guy was a Jedi supporter.
Well,
right?
okay, so we got some information live on air on the 12-hour show. We found his profile on backstage.com. He's an actor, Then when we went to backstage.com, somebody sent us a screenshot. They had removed it live on air. So we go to the Wayback Machine. The Wayback Machine had also scrubbed it. Now, it takes some time to get things removed from the Wayback Machine. You can get it done, but it takes, a good 20, 30 days. You can't just get it removed just like that. There was another person who was saying on Twitter that was his sister and that he was military and that he had cameras and those horns, et cetera, et cetera. But I was like, I don't know. I don't think that. And then I was getting into it on Facebook with a few of these Sith wannabe people, and they were dropping me that too, and they go, "Ha, here's your Jedi. Here's what the Jedi look like." And I go, "That doesn't. Number one, that doesn't look like a Jedi. Number two, that looks like what the Sith would want people to think the Jedi are all about. Okay, it just looks comical. It looks silly.
Yeah, it looks comical. It was Simpsons. The Simpsons. They had. Did you know that there was an exact same guy? I should show you.
Do you know who had him on? Do you know who had him on their show?
Who?
The first person to send out one of your links.
Oh.
Somebody sent me she actually had him on the show. I don't know what the date was. I saw it pop up in the chat and they're like, hey, this person had this person on their show. Here's the link. It's in our comment roll, throughout the video. I didn't get a chance to listen to it, but apparently he's been on our show.
Oh.
Interesting, huh?
Very interesting.
Yeah.
All right, we've got to talk about this off air.
I know.
What was I going to say about that? Okay, so apparently they're trying to say that predictive programming in The Simpsons had the same guy with the horns and even the same tattoo and things. Or not tattoo, it was in The Simpsons, I think.
I couldn't find the episode. I think it was photoshopped.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So now we know it's a fake meme. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do that a lot. There was one with the flu, and they changed the words. In The Simpsons, they used something else, but then they photoshopped it differently. They do that. You've got to go to find the actual episode. A lot of these people on Facebook, they just make stuff up and I don't know if they're doing it for clicks or for misinformation or whatever. Yeah.
Thank God I'm not on Facebook anymore. Yeah. Thank God.
I'm not on Facebook either. I started a fan page and that's it. Yeah. And
well, I've got other people running my page at the moment, but I don't need that distraction because it's just people spreading a lot of misinfo and stuff like that. Oh, what was I going to tell you about the Minotaur thing? So the how am I going to say this without the AI picking up on it, without the YouTube stuff picking up on it? The person who got shot, the lady, at the
I know who you're talking about.
Event, is actually.
I heard she was former intelligence.
No, not former, current.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
So we analyzed. We got 2 videos of that, and we analyzed them both from both perspectives. Yeah. I have to say that from what I looked at, and we also got her leaving on the stretcher. It looks like she really passed. I don't think there's any doubt about that because the expression. You can see the light in somebody's eyes. Yeah. The light was leaving, and then when she was on the stretcher, the light was completely gone.
It could be. So the way I'm feeling it is that it's actually a current military person who was hired to do. Do you remember when you went for an acting job?
Yeah.
A while back.
Yeah.
And it was, and then that video got scrapped. Yeah. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm trying to figure out a way to phrase it without doing keywords. It's an actor for a catastrophe event, a simulated catastrophe event. Yeah. And we were working on a film about that, and I wanted to prove that they existed just to give some context to the listeners. And so I did a phone audition, and we talked about bringing a Shakespearean piece. We talked about bringing a contemporary piece for the audition. We talked about upcoming projects, which included the Syria Chronicles, and this was before Syria was anywhere to be found or heard of. And I'm like, Syria Chronicles, that's kind of weird. And it was on YouTube for quite some time, and then they wound up pulling it later. But I proved, at least to myself, that catastrophe reenactments exist.
Well, they do that in the military, and I know that from my own a good friend who was high military in the US. so everything's compartmentalized. I've said this so many times, but the military themselves think they're doing training for a particular thing. They're actually doing that kind of acting. They're trained for that, etc. They're not aware of why they're doing it sometimes. They might think that they're going along. Some of them may be in on some of the jobs and they know they've got to perform a certain way for one reason or another, but everything's compartmentalized. And what I'm trying to say is that maybe the DS knocked them off for real.
I think so. I think so.
You know what I'm saying? But they were hired. They're not former, they're current.
Either that was the best performance that I've ever seen, or I can't. I mean, you know, when she was being pulled out on the stretcher.
I mean, what's another soldier, right? What's another military person?
There was no light.
Nothing.
The positioning of the hands, you could tell there was no light left in that, and I feel for her. I really do. And I wish I could say that it was that it was, you know, a catastrophe reenactment, but I think it was real.
It could be. It could be a reenactment, and then they had a real casualty. What I'm trying to say is that it was a casualty that they treated like. It's like, well, they're just another military person. So that's another number.
I know the term you're looking for. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I just can't think of the term. It's like a consequent, disposable asset. Disposable asset. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
some people were bringing an esoteric meaning to it. It was the last day of Saturnalia.
Yeah.
So it was symbolic
as well.
So in the neck of the feminine's voice being taken away. I thought that was pretty interesting.
I got to run. Yeah,
our tribe is really insightful, and they were the ones that brought it up.
I might have info on that because I have a guy who sends me info like every day on occult stuff. The problem is I don't have time to read it all. But yeah, he sends me stuff all the time, and he decodes things that happen like that, and it's always fits in with the numbers and the sort of occulted celebrations and through astrology, and they do everything by the book. They're so predictable. It's like a program. It's a computer program. The whole thing is. So yeah, I mean that's anyway. Where do we go from here? I mean, we know that we can dissect all of this.
But it's theater.
It's theater, and I did a video, one of my first videos back after the new year, I think, or maybe just after Christmas, because I had a bit of a break, was, you know, we know this is a reality that we created. Sometimes I get lost in the 3D, but that's okay because that's what we're here to do. We're here to get lost in the 3D.
It's fun to play in the 3D sometimes. Yeah.
We're here to immerse ourselves and to really fall for a lot of this stuff, because what we're doing is we're creating a problem where there is no problem, because if we are these creator beings that are that exist eternally outside of this creation, this is the game, and we're just immersing ourselves in the game. We're trying to solve the problem that we set for ourselves in this reality. And that's all part of it. And so everything, if you look at everything from as an outsider looking in, you will not be lost. It's when you allow this 3D world to take over and you lose yourself for too long, that's when you can fall into that pit of despair. So you really got to keep going back out again and doing that, right? That's my advice to everybody. So I may have to go soon. Actually, I will.
I can tell you've got a little munchkin in the background. Yeah, I'm just watching
because I got to actually leave. But this weekend, I'm going to try to. I'm going to have the weekends free because she's going to be with her father. So I'll be able to do my own stuff, and I think I want to use the weekends to do the videos and stuff. So if you do want to hop on a Zoom with me and Mark, and we'll do like some, because I think he's got a lot of information. He comes from it from a political understanding, and he knows all of that stuff, but because he reads and knows everything what's going on politically and the back end and the spiritual sort of side. So I think if you can talk to him, it would be good.
I would love to. Just let me know when and where, and we will make it happen.
But we'll try, and I'll try in the next, you know.
And Friday, to the virus out there, I just want to say, we see
I love it. You've got to play his. Hey, listen, Chris. You've got to play Mark Atwood's.
I've been playing it every show.
No. Play Mark Atwood's poem, "The Best Is Yet to Come." Play that one, because that one will give everyone hope, and that's the one That's the one you've got to play. Okay, the best is yet to come. So if you can play that one, that will give people hope. But
All right. I will let you go, and I will play that as soon as we let you go.
Or, whenever. But I'll have weekends free now.
Cool. Love you, JC, my dear sister. You are awesome, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you and Mark on that show.
I hope I gave people some new information. I had no idea what I was going to say, so that's the way I play. That's the way I do things.
I was sitting here going, I don't know what I'm going to talk about either. This is just the way we do it, And I think that's why some people are jealous. Yeah, some people are jealous of that because they're 10 hours and they're writing everything down and they're doing this and doing that, and we're just like, all right, turn the stream on. Boop. Hey, that's gold. Holy crap.
You and Cherie, I just think you and Cherie are just amazing. Cherie, she's in pain and she's just brilliant. Information comes out of her and I just go, whoa.
She deals
That's
with
why
a
every time I
lot.
come on, she's amazing. Could you imagine if she was not in pain? Just unbelievable. But you guys, every time I tune in, you've got all this information. I can't keep up. So, but I come from it from a different angle. I'm never going to be able to give you the detail that you guys talk in. I come from it from a metaphysical aspect, and I talk about it in energy terms, and that's the information I get. And
I think we work so well together.
Out there, the trolls out there that want to go, she's fake. Fuck you, okay? Because I'm just me, and I just do what I do, and that's it. And you know what? Look, did I show you this thing? I've got to show you this. Look, somebody made a mug for me and my too much with the red lipstick.
Nice.
Because I wear red lipstick, and people were telling me that I'm too much.
Hey, I dyed my hair. I know you can't see it on camera, but I dyed my hair. It's got a blue tint to it.
Blue?
Did
I
black
love
totally changed my look. Because I'm I need to be me and also take care of myself.
I'm really goth today. I got my combat boots on, and I got my
exactly. I got my Doc Martens on too.
Top,
yeah, that's what it's all about.
Me and you, we wear the same thing. I got my toenails are painted black right now. So yeah.
Hell yeah, I freaking love it. I love it. And you know what? It takes all these new agers back, because it's hey, hold on, who's all these people in black? And it's
where's your linen?
Exactly. It's
linen and dreadlocks.
This is what I tell them. I say, we cover our true light with darkness. You cover your darkness with false light. So there's a dynamic right there. JC, I love you so much. You always raise the frequency, and I love that. And please give everybody around a big hug and kiss for us.
I will. I gotta go. Much. But I love you.
Take care. Bye-bye. And ladies and gentlemen, always an awesome show with our dear friend JCK. She mentioned that Cherie's in a lot of pain. Some people were mentioning that in the chat room as well. So let me take a quick moment to tell you about Life. Life is our CBD oil. It is a mixture of the ayahuasca vine and the CBD as well. Cherie uses this religiously. She couldn't use NSAIDs, and so we developed this, and it worked so well that her pain management doctor gave it to her husband, then started giving it out to a bunch of her patients as well. And we have a ton of testimonials from people. If I go over them all, we're going to do another hour. But it's helped everybody from tennis elbow to back pain to literally everything. People are saying that when they use this, they can meditate better because it brings them kind of back to balance and everything like that. Really powerful formula, and I think it's a combination of a couple different things. Number one, it's the ingredients, but number two, the fact that it's made out of pure love, and I think it creates that energy boost within it as well. And we have a buy one get one free going for everybody, so if you want to take advantage of that, go to shop, go to single bottle, and put in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, however many you want. Go to checkout and put in code at checkout, BTV Tribe, which is right there. Enter the promo code BTV Tribe, TRIBE, BTV Tribe. And then you also have to say the magic words, abracadabra, and then click the button, and it gives you half of your order for free. So, the magic words are so let it be written, so let it be done. I forgot. Oh, man. But at least abracadabra worked this time. Anyways, ayalife.com. Once again, ayalife.com. I know some people were talking about that in the chat, and I think this is really going to work for you. We have a lot of people using it, from people that are 10, 11 years old. The parents are giving it to them, to 80, 90 years old, for a variety of different things. One lady wrote, and she said that her husband sleeps through the full night after having Parkinson's, and it's the only thing that helps her husband sleep through the full night. So really, I mean, I think the magic in this is that it brings you back to balance. So if you don't have enough energy, it brings you more energy. If you can't sleep, it helps you sleep, because all it's doing is just rebalancing the system, and much more. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. I do want to go ahead and play this by Mark Atwood, and then I will wrap up the show right on the other side. People were asking if we're going to take calls, and I don't want to make the show too long, but we will do another call-in show maybe tomorrow or the next day. So make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, click the bell notification button when you see us live. We want to try to do more and more call-in shows, because we love talking to our BTV tribe out there. Those are our favorite guests, besides JCK, of course. But I don't really like to have guests on the show. I'd rather hear from each and every one of you. So we're going to do a lot more call-in shows in the future, in the very near future, as a matter of fact. But check out this poem by Mark Atwood.
The best is yet to come. In the days of future past, we'll look back on the storm, when the world was wearing masks, when America was torn. When 5D chess was played with such finesse, when criminals floundered and were left to guess. Their codes were broken, their weapons gone. Flynn's digital soldiers marched to the song of QAnon. The song of freedom, the song of love, the song of unity from heaven above. When once we stared down the barrel of the gun, one man proudly said, "The best is yet to come." We gathered closely in the end of days, fighting for our rights. When this virus washes through, it'll be like a burst of light. With golden hearts we raised the earth into the Aquarius age. Phoenicians gone and demons run, we broke out of our cage. King Cyrus rose to take the fight to the fiends of Babel once again, removing fear and usury, the chains that held down men. The song of freedom, the song of love, the song of unity from heaven above. When once we stared down the barrel of the gun, one man proudly said, "The best is yet to come." In the time of revelations, the devil's hand was shown. His heinous crimes against mankind finally were known. As the great awakening gathered speed, as the veil did turn to dust, new heroes forged and laws were made that finally were just. From Guantanamo Bay to the last hooray, the serpents were all done. The shots heard round the world, and the end of Babylon. The song of freedom, the song of love, the song of unity from heaven above. When once we stared down the barrel of the gun, one man proudly said, "The best is yet to come." In God we trust and trust the plan. Our faith was tested hard. We held on tight to the might and ran the final yard. The looking glass, it showed the way when everything seemed lost. Survival of the human race at monumental cost. The storm it came, and when it did, you said it was upon us. We held the lights for the golden age, a manifested promise. The song of freedom, the song of love, the song of unity from heaven above. When once we stared down the barrel of the gun, one man proudly said, "The best is yet to come." The sword of the Spirit and the shield of faith, extinguishing the arrow's fire. Finally, the sons of Cain laid on the funeral pyre. Bittersweet the victory was. In righteous grace we thanked you. We raised our heads and looked ahead, to sovereign times anew. The quantum era and Tesla's dreams finally found their way. In fireside talks far in the future, we know our children will say the song of freedom, the song of love, the song of unity from heaven above. When once we stared down the barrel of the gun, one man proudly said, the best is yet to come.
My fellow Americans.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. This was a phenomenal show. Another 3.5-hour show, as we always do here. You know, the thing is, time stands still when we're here at Beyond the Veil with our tribe. And I told Sheree, like I always do, this is going to be a 30-minute thing. And here we come in with 3.5 hours of amazing information. Thanks to JCK, thanks to Sheree Geo, thanks to each and every one of you in the chat who are contributing. And we will definitely be doing a call-in show very, very, very soon. I did want to say thank you real quick to, if I can still have it on my screen here, yeah, John the Revelator, to Abraham, to Abraham again and Abraham again. Thank you very much for the donations. Abraham was asking, BTC was used to bust the biggest... Oh, interesting. Biggest LSD dealer in 2013. I did not know that. That's very interesting. I will look more into that. Thank you for that intel. Somebody was asking if I can help them with past life stuff and ancient soul name stuff. If you want to call into the show during the next call-in show, I would love to hear from you, and we can give you our thoughts there. Thank you to Joker Smiles as well, and everybody else. We already mentioned them. But guys and girls, thank you for showing so much love and over the past couple days. And White Buffalo Woman again, thank you so much again. You guys and gals really the energy is so beautiful. It's inspiring. It's you know, not just the donations. I mean, all the energy that is generated in the chat room. It's the only way that I can describe it. It's kind of like the rave scene. You know, everybody's at a rave party. Everybody's bringing the frequency up. Everybody's just kind of feeling the vibe together and everything like that. This is the next best thing. I mean, it's probably better than that, but I really appreciate you guys and gals, because I was feeling in a low frequency earlier today. I felt like after the news of today, we needed to come and spend a little bit of time with each and every one of you. I felt like a lot of you were also feeling in a low frequency too, and together we were able to raise the frequency, and that's what it's all about. That's what we have to do. We have to raise the frequency. Gennaro, awesome show. Love you guys. Love the t-shirt and stay woke. Thank you so much. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of these t-shirts here with all these different designs and everything like that. I decided to add a little bit of color to the black. So thank you, Gennaro. And thank you to everybody that tunes in on a regular basis. You can also find us on BitChute. I just uploaded one video so far, but bitchute.com/beyondtheveil, where we can speak a little bit more openly and with less code there. So we're going to start uploading a few videos there. Please go there and subscribe to the channel. There's only one video there right now, but we definitely want to set up a little series of backup platforms. Also, btbtribe.com is where we are going to have our centralized hub. So right now it takes you to a t-shirt shop where we have some Beyond the Veil merchandise. The problem is that, as is the case with Aya Life, our CBD oil that I mentioned earlier, one of my big things, one of my huge things is good customer service. And it's something that I've always prided myself in. It's a long lost art. We take care of our customers. Unfortunately, over there at our t-shirt supplier, and it's still stuck on our YouTube channel, they have not been taking care of our customers. They have not been taking care of even us. It took them 30 days to reply to a tech ticket. Some people were saying they weren't even receiving their orders. So as much as I would love to promote some Beyond the Veil gear and stuff like that, if you go to BTV Tribe right now, it redirects you to that store. So I don't recommend it. A lot of people have received their stuff, but I don't like the quality. I don't like the way they treat people. I definitely didn't like the way they treated me. And so, but BTV Tribe, we're going to turn into a website for kind of a centralized hub. Also, we need to get a mailing list together. Of course, you can always follow me on Twitter at RealChrisGeo. Cherise is at RealCherigeo, I think, or it's at Cherigeo. I'm also on Parler too, at RealChrisGeo. I'm also on Facebook at Official Chris Geo. So, yeah, just go to any one of those, type in Chris Geo. You'll be able to find me. There's a couple of fake profiles out there, but you'll know which one are mine because I post videos on mine. I do live videos there, and I can speak a little bit more uncensored on Facebook as well for the time being. But you'll know because you'll see live shows from us, and people have been creating fake email addresses, they've been creating fake profiles, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, man, I guess that's what happens when you don't have that creator essence. Then all you really have time to do is either troll people or, whatever, or, they just can't create, or just, take other people's work and just run with it and, all that stuff. But we are the creators here at the BTV Tribe. And I have no illusion, as I said in a previous show, it's not me, it's not Cherie, it's all of us together. We are pushing this into the positive timeline. We're pushing it into the most optimal timeline. The only question is, do the NPCs want to come along with us? We're going to go to the positive timeline. Everything's going to be fine in our own personal sphere. The Matrix as a whole may get a little bumpy, but we're going to be okay in our personal sphere. I'd really like to see all the NPCs ascend. That's what I really want to see. I want to see them ascend. Let's help them ascend. On that note, kiss the one you love right now. You'll never know when the last time is going to be. We love and appreciate each and every one of you so much. I know I didn't say it on the last show because I was just after 12 hours and I was just taken aback by everything. So I'm going to say it 3 times. We love you so much. We love you so much. We love you so much. We appreciate you so much. We appreciate you so much. We appreciate you so much. So let it be written. So let it be done. Kiss the one you love right now. You never know the last time it's going to be, and we'll see you even further beyond the veil.